Thanks for joining us. I am Saka Abdullahi. Let's begin. The Trade Union Congress has issued a stern warning to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, to halt the sale of 60% of its stake in some hotels to MP and Minister for Agriculture Brian Echampon's Rock City Hotel. TUC says it will ask workers across the country to lay down their tools if the sale goes ahead. The call comes after Northern MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa petitioned Sraj to investigate and stop the sale of SNIT's stake. In response, SNIT justified its decision, saying it intends to partner with a strategic investor to raise capital to invest in its hotels. In a hurriedly arranged news conference yesterday, the Secretary of TUC, Dr. Yaoba, said Guinean workers will not allow pension funds to be misapplied.
There are many other issues our reps have brought to our attention that we need to discuss with the President himself. We will not allow pension funds to be toyed with. And this is our last warning. This is the last warning to those who are in charge of this country, that workers of Ghana will not allow our pension funds to be used anyhow, especially when assets of the pension fund is going to be sold to a Minister of State. This is not right. We also find it difficult to understand why SNIT's interest in these hotels should be sold to a company owned by a Minister of State. We do not think this is right. Organized labor, therefore, demands that the process of the sale of SNIT's interest in the hotels be cancelled immediately. We are calling on the minister responsible for pensions to direct the Board of Trustees of SNIT to cancel the process immediately. Otherwise, we, organized labor, we will advise ourselves.
Chairman of the forum, Dr. Isaac Bampo Addo, served notice of a nationwide strike if the deal is not cancelled.
We don't agree with that assertion. We think proper due diligence was not done. And we, as the major stakeholders for pension funds, we must not sit idle. And I repeat, our pension funds are used for Jaskeli. We will not allow it. We are not happy with the due diligence that was done. And that's why we are calling that it should be cancelled immediately. Pensions are guarded by the Act 766. We have under Act 766. And clearly, these guidelines have not been followed. Government should be aware that should they dare go ahead, it will be the mother of all strikes in Ghana.
Now you heard the chairman of the forum, Dr. Isaac Bampo Addo. Office of the Special Prosecutor says it has uncovered nearly 3 million cedis in salaries earned by individuals who were deceased, retired, or no longer in their positions, commonly referred to as ghost names. A report issued by the OSP and the Controller and Accountant General's Department said this covers the northern region alone. The two officers have been investigating government's payrolls administration, focusing on employees in the northern region. Here are excerpts of the report.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor and Controller and Accountant General's Department observed that the payroll system in the northern region, covering educational institutions under Ghana Education Service and the Temale Teaching Hospital only, is attended to by an alarming number of unauthorized and inactive validators. In one instance, it was discovered that a primary school in the Kumbungu district of Ghana Education Service did not exist at all. Yet, this non-existent contrived entity was represented as staffed, and the purported staff were being validated monthly and being paid salaries. A staggering amount of over 2 million Ghana cedis was identified as unearned monthly salaries attributed to individuals who were deceased, retired, no longer in their positions, flagged as missing, or whose whereabouts were unknown, commonly referred to as ghost names. By blocking these payments and removing the corresponding individuals from the government payroll, the Republic saved over 34 million Ghana cedis for the 2024 financial year. Additionally, ongoing savings are expected for subsequent years, along with potential upward pay adjustment, thanks to the detection of these unearned salaries facilitated by the joint investigation of the OSP. The OSP and CAGD are engaged in enhanced investigations into the educational institutions and the Ghana Education Service in the northern region and the Temale Teaching Hospital, aimed at the prosecution of persons who promoted the non-existent schools, validated deceased, untraceable and retired persons, and persons who have vacated their posts.
Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says his newly appointed ministers have enough time to make a difference and make significant contributions to advance the cause of his government with barely 6 months to the end of his tenure. The president yesterday sworn into office 24 ministers and deputy ministers of state at the Jubilee House with a charge for them to discharge their mandate creditably.
You've joined the government to virtually the last lap of its mandate, with 7 months to go. But I am confident that there's enough time for you to make a difference and significant contribution. Indeed, anyone who has something to prove can make a point within a short period. And I'm sure that your various competencies, experiences, and talents make this distinctly possible. I know that several of you, the new ministers of state, have had a taste of government as deputy ministers, but it is important that you adjust forthwith to the new perspectives that have to guide you as substantive ministers, not deputies. To the rest of you who are new to ministerial office, either as ministers or deputy ministers, you have to do your best to learn the ropes of government as quickly as possible. You have no time to dilly-dally.
The president also charged the appointees to live above reproach and work hard to promote the mandate that ensures that the citizens have equitable access to quality of lives.
A call to these public appointments to provide public service, not to appropriate personal gain. Do not in this regard fail to file your assets declaration promptly and remain above reproach in your public dealings. Your conduct, my conduct, our collective conduct in the executive will determine to a large extent the fate and fortunes of our party, the New Patriotic Party, in this and succeeding decades. Remember that in the unfortunate atmosphere that unhappily characterizes much of public life in our country today, even your most innocent actions will be stigmatized and given the most sinister of motives. Ignore the fabricators and their fabrications, and ignore the naysayers. Remain resolute and focus on our collective objective to serve the Ghanaian people to the best of our abilities, and leave the rest to God, to history, and to the judgment of the good people of Ghana.
You heard President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo speaking at the swearing-in of 24 ministers yesterday. Now, aggrieved customers of the defunct Gold Coast Fund Management says they do not believe any of the promises on financial bailout made by NPP's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Hundreds of customers still have their investments locked up due to government's revocation of the company's license. Their comments come at the back of assurances made by Dr. Bawumia during a tour in the northern region that the Finance Ministry is preparing another bailout for Gold Coast Fund customers. Listen.
We had to find 25 billion Ghana cedis to save the banking system. We saved the deposits of 4.6 million depositors by just moving all their deposits to new banks like Consolidated Bank and so on. Otherwise, they would have all collapsed. And if 3 banks collapsed, we would have lost so many jobs. For some of the securities, like Gold Coast Securities and so on, of course, these were investments that were made by people. These are not banking deposits. These are investments that are made, and people basically make their own evaluation of the risks involved in investing in certain institutions. It is not easy for a lot of people who have put provident funds and so on into these institutions. Ministry of Finance came out with a bailout, and I think for each depositor they gave about 50,000 Ghana cedis. And I think the ministry is preparing another bailout for them, because we believe that they are going through hard times for those who did that, and we are going to have to come out with another bailout for them.
In reaction, convener of aggrieved customers of Gold Coast Fund Management, Charles Nyame, says the promise is not new.
As far as we Gold Coast Fund Management customers are concerned, we consider this promise by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia saying that the finance ministry is working out a new bailout for Gold Coast customers as one of the promises that we have been receiving since 2018 that our money got locked with the fund management. Because we have received countless of promises from this government, none of them was fulfilled. And for the past 6 years, people have died. This government has sat.
Now, that was Charles Nyame, who is the convener for aggrieved customers of Gold Coast Fund Management. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board says it is ending its scholarship initiative, citing the introduction of the free senior high school program by the government. Instead, the board has founded the new Cocoa Board Education Trust to furnish vital primary school facilities in neglected cocoa-producing regions. Board Chairman Peter McMenu said the discontinuation of the scholarship scheme was deemed necessary due to the influence of the free senior high school policy. Now, on the international front, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has angrily condemned the International Criminal Court's prosecutor for seeking arrest warrants for him alongside Hamas leader over alleged war crimes in the Gaza conflict. Mr. Netanyahu said he rejected with disgust that democratic Israel had been compared with what he called mass murderers. Mr. Netanyahu's comments have been echoed by U.S. President Joe Biden, who said there was no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. The chief ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, said there were reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Netanyahu and his defense minister, Yoav Gallant, bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. Now, that is all time will permit for the morning news here on Z 101.9 FM. In a recap of the headlines, organized labor is threatening nationwide strike if SNET does not stop the sale of hotels to aggrieved minister Brian Champon. Almost 3 million Ghana cedis paid to ghost names in the northern region alone. And we brought you excerpts from the investigative report issued by the OSP. And President Akufo-Addo tells newly sworn-in ministers to make a difference in the short time that they have. I am Saka Abdullahi. Jerry Ham continues with Zed in the Morning.
You're tuned in to Zed 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beacon, a 360 multimedia farmhouse emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed and the innovative realms of Zed Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the new Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
We hail thee, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. You deserve our highest praise. Good morning, good people. Welcome. 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 Welcome to your favorite morning experience on radio. Listen, there are morning shows and there is this morning show. Yeah, we're gonna bring you angles to major stories that others might have missed. We bring you the minds of those who know what they are talking about. We ask them the questions you wish we asked them. We go behind the scenes to find out what is really going on. We take on the pertinent issues from a non-partisan basis, just to ensure that we do not cloud the real issues in the midst of distrust and mistrust. We're very much interested in getting you valuable information that will help you make the most informed decisions. This is what we try to do every work week, Mondays to Fridays. The venue is the House of Zion. The address is number 6 Anyete Street, right at the heart of East Legon, Accra, Ghana. The dial is 101.9 FM. The show is Zed in the Morning. The host is Jerry Hom. Yes, I need to remind you. In the first hour of the show, we go through the major newspapers and pick the headlines for you, the front page stories. Then from there, 6:50, Nia Quader Sportscaster comes your way with sports news. That's Z Sports. Taking us to 7, where we take on the Z Business News. So that'll do it for the first hour of the show. During the rest of the show, I'll be telling you what is about to happen. Let's get this show on the road, people.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
2024 in the year of our Lord. And we're here to do for God and country. Mr. Elvis Daku is seated. Good morning, boss. I hope you're fine. Mr. Daku.
I'm very fine. Yourself?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Morning.
We're good. We thank God. So tell me, how was the night? Or you were working?
I was working.
Okay, I know. That's what you put. Just work. Good. What's happening?
Oh, this morning the papers are here.
Let me start with our very own The Finder so that you come in. On the front page of the new Finder today, 21st of May, as hot sale of Snit hotels to Brian Champon. That's from TUC. You can make a difference in 7 months. President tells new ministers, deputies. Upper West Regional House of Chiefs touts Baumia's honesty and transparency. And then a big story on the front page of the new Finder: Ghost chopped 2.8 million Ghana cedis, while OSP controller saved 34.2 million Ghana cedis. That's the front page of our very own The New Finder.
I take the Daily Guide, and the Daily Guide says Nana meets majority, minority. 2 Togolese arrested for voter fraud. Ochi Henny launches 25th anniversary and extend registration timeline. Nana Kwame Bediako tells Electoral Commission.
Okay, I picked the front page, the Daily Statesman. The front page stories: Upper West Chiefs Lords, Baumia's integrity, Snit, Rock City Hotel participated in the legitimate bid, Ochini to mark 25 years on Ofuri paintings too. The big story on the front page of the Daily Statesman: Akufo-Addo meets majority, minority leadership.
The Chronicle: Baumia, I have 33 policies to my credit. What about Mahama when he was VIP? Ochi Henny launches 25th anniversary celebration. I will deal ruthlessly with corrupt appointees. John Mahama speaking. That is the Chronicle.
And the Ghanaian Times. The big story: don't promote insults, misinformation on platforms. NCC chairperson warns journalists. CDS Africa calls for comprehensive public education on anti-LGBTQ plus bill. 25th anniversary celebration of Ochihini launched, and then OSP CAGD saved 34.2 million Ghana cedis, though payroll checks December 2023 through payroll checks December 2023 to April 2024. That's the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
I have the Dispatch. I have been campaigning on issues, not insults. Baumia to Wana. EC must draw lessons from current registration process. Sam Ankra. We discuss issues of national concern, and this is Atufose on Akufo-Addo's meeting with NPP and NDC MPs. And between January and March 2024, we had daily rate of 50 accidents, 55 injured, and 9 deaths, police MTTD. Between January and March 24, 50 accidents, 55 injured, 9 deaths. That is what the police MTTD is saying. That is the Dispatch.
Okay, on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, there are 2 features in there. Is ILO definition of child labor and misnomer, an option for stabilizing the CD on a lasting basis. But a big story here is positive investment outlook for banking stocks. That's from Data Bank. And Bridge Technologies demos historic real-time currency swap at 3i Africa Summit. MIIF to launch gold-backed ETF. IEA outlines multi-phased approach to save CD from existential threat. And AR Minister inspects, that's Ashanti Regional, I'm sure. Minister inspects progress of Bonkra Integrated Logistics Terminal. That's the front page of the Business and Financial Times.
I have the Business Analyst. Environmental sustainability Media can lead by example. That is the president speaking. Third, AMC LOC celebrates delegates for successful event. City depreciation pressures slow down. Sale of SNIT hotels, organized labor to go on strike if process continues. And EU funds sustainable mining initiative in Ghana.
Okay, and the new crusading guide, Assemblies of God begins construction of legacy temples. SNIT sets record straight on decision to sell 60% stake in hotels to Rock City Hotel. Akufo-Addo charges media to uphold high journalistic standards. The other story here is Ochinini launches 25th anniversary celebration on ascension to Ofori-Penny's 2. OSP CAGD uncover ghost names on government payroll. And the big story on the front page of the new crusading guide for this morning: government fully accounts for $200 million Garrett project, Works and Housing Ministry.
The Daily Post, the big story says, no Alawa as Baumia deceives nursing training again. We will stop sale of SNIT shares in 4 hotels to Brian Champon. Organized labor. Weird order. Arrest anyone who stops a minor or a foreigner from registering. According to the paper, this is an order from the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander. And election 2024, government illegally recruiting NPP full soldier into security services. That is the minority speaking. This is the Daily Post newspaper.
And the anchor. Takwa MP called to England and Wales bar. Minority stormed Jubilee House after boycotting government business. Mahama plagiarizes Baumia's mining policy. That's a question. And OSP uncovers 2.8 million Ghana city salaries paid to ghost names. Teacher unions in tears as panic grips GAHS. And former MP fight successor for boycotting loan agreement. That's the front page of the anchor.
Daybreak newspaper says ESCOP wants Dampari over NPP slots in police service. Citizens can't use Ghana flag, coat of arms without authority. That is what a lawyer is saying. Upper West chiefs dangle Baumia's testimonial. And coming up, visa fraud, sex scandal hits Ghana's embassy in China. This is the Daybreak newspaper.
Okay, so I'll go online and pick a number of them. So on citynewsroom.com, the big story is my next administration will defeat corruption. Mahama, that's my next administration will defeat corruption. That's coming from the ex-president John Mahama. And then the big story at the homepage of asasiradio.com, Northern Region, OSP report reveals 2.8 million Ghana cedis was paid to ghost names. That's the front page of asasiradio.com. And then we come to myjoyonline.com. We're not recruiting party people into security agencies, so says the Interior Minister. That's a top story on myjoyonline.com. And so let's go to BBC, let's go international. Gazans shackled and blindfolded at Israel Hospital. Allegations center on a military hospital where a whistleblower said that painkillers were routinely not used in procedures. And also another story, BBC.com, is Netanyahu denounces bid to arrest him over Gaza war. So those are the major headlines across both print and online.
The Daily Graphic, make a difference despite short period. President charges ministers and deputies. Registering minors to vote dangerous. Child rights. IEA outlines 17 measures to halt city depreciation. And damage undersea internet cables fixed. That is coming from the NCA. So these are the papers that we have this morning.
Okay, let me start. Let me start before you come in. From the front page of maybe I'm just excited about this very story. Bridge Technologies demos historic real-time currency swap at 3i Africa Summit. It said in a historic development expected to minimize the cost of entry to intra-African trade for individuals and businesses, Bridge Technologies Incorporated showcased its BridgeX solution at a just concluded 3i Africa Summit in Accra, a convergence of bank governance. Now I'm not interested. I'm interested in the solution. The solution enables real-time direct currency swaps peer-to-peer, eliminating the need for foreign exchange, credit cards, or other financial intermediaries. During the live demonstration at the summit, Majesty Hini Bridge Chief Engineer showcased the seamless functionality of BridgeX by conducting a real-time swap between Ghanaian cedi and Nigerian naira. Is this not something to be excited about, Mr. Dako?
Of course, that's what we need to be. We need to be excited because we data shows that just exchange rates change from one currency to the other alone.
You mean going to dollar and coming back to your own?
Alone in a year, Africa loses over $5 billion to just changing of currency. So if we are having a solution that will make sure that we no longer lose such a huge amount to
that alone is solid.
That alone is a, and how this is going to make sure that we are able to trade among ourselves. The point is, one of the barriers to trade is about exchange rates within the country. The question: what rate are you using to determine the value of each currency to be able to determine that one cedi is equal to this naira, or one naira is equal to this dollar C, or this dollar C is equal to this kwacha, or the CFA franc is equal to the. This is the challenge. So these currencies swap. The bottom question is what formed the basis for the exchange rate? What were the determinants? Because this is what we wanted to do with the ECO. That's why we wanted the countries to achieve 4 convergence criteria. Up to now, not a single country has been able to achieve the convergence criteria. Because the convergence criteria will not determine the rate at which we can peg the ECO and say one ECO is equal to the. But inability to achieve the convergence criteria made it impossible for us to be able to do this kind of thing. So the question is, technology has come, and you can say, okay, you can swap one currency to the other. But the question is, what factors are considered when you want to say one cedi is weighing this much, $1 is weighing this, or one kwacha, one naira? What really are we using to determine for us to know that this system also is not coming in at a point to come and shortchange one country against the other? That is the bottom line. Because if we cannot have a convergence criteria, then how do we decide the strength of each currency for us to know that if you say $1 to the if you look at all this, probably we are still using our currency to the dollar, and then they're using that factor to determine how much a naira should sell to the.
Yes, but if that is the case, I think the big applause for this very technology is the fact that it takes away financial intermediaries.
Yes.
So even though we are indexing it on the dollar,
yes,
the fact that you don't need to go to a bank to go and transfer money.
Yes.
But you can, like your friend, your friend who is supposed to send money
to Uganda.
Now download the app.
Yes.
And then your friend also has the app.
Sure.
Boom.
Yes.
So now you can't even have excuses.
Yes, but I still have to send the fiscal currency to the bank. I have to give my money to the bank, my account to the bank, for the bank to transfer the money. All I'm saying is that these are the kind of things we need. We should pay attention to it, make sure it works. Because I think at the same summit, the central bank said they had used the ECD to transact business with, I think, one of the countries. I forgot the country.
Yeah.
So they've also done a successful. Actually, that is actual transaction. As for this demonstration, but the BOJ actually has made a point that they actually had done actual transaction with the ECD with another currency, and it worked. And that is where the ECD comes in. If all these are supposed to work, then you must have an electronic currency for it to be able to, digital currency for it to be work. You cannot be running a physical currency and think that this kind of exchange regime is going to be possible. So that's I think that we and I think the Nigeria also is piloting the e-naira, and I'm sure that other countries are also doing the same thing, because for this kind of technologies to work, you need the electronic version of your currency so that the transactions can be that seamless. And I think that these are the things we need to pay attention to. We need solutions that will make sure that we trade more among ourselves. I always tell people that we hear economy, we hear inflation. When we talk about everything about the economy, the bottom line is that it is simple issue of trade and services.
Interesting.
Put together. It's trade and service that makes the what you call an economy. So if we are unable to trade among us as it exists currently, that is why the continent is poor. That is why many of us, our economies are struggling. The city is struggling today because it's being pegged against the dollar. And you need that dollar to be able to do a lot of foreign payments, to do a lot of imports. That's why you are struggling. But if we are going to do the imports from Nigeria and it is cedi against naira, if you are doing the imports from the Gambia or whatever, and it's no longer the dollar, then obviously the pressure on our local currencies will also reduce.
I mean, this has serious implications.
Yes, the pressure on our local currencies.
This conversation,
because every single emerging economic currency is crashing because the dollar itself is gaining strength. Meanwhile, these economies have rigidities and therefore have no backup for their currencies at the same time. So if this will come and relieve us of all these pressures, then we should be thankful for such technology.
Anyway, let's look at your own, the new finder, your big story for this morning. Ghost chopped 2.8 million. Mr. Dako, what Ghost chopped it?
That's what the report says. They said the ghost people have been able to consume that money.
Yeah, I like your headline.
Ghost. Yeah, the issue of ghost names, we have been trying, but I've always said that you can build systems, okay, but it's human beings who will create the system. And so long as human beings are determined to rig the system, it's difficult for you to say the system will work for you. Because if you look at the story, for some years now, the controller says before every public sector worker is paid, the person needs to be validated. Validation means that the head of the institution needs to physically confirm that you actually are reporting to duty every day and you deserve salaries. Here is the situation that the controller is saying, even dead people are being confirmed by heads of institutions that they are working and are getting paid.
So who is taking that money?
So the person who is doing the confirmation, if it's not benefiting, how will the person confirm that you are working when the person knows that you are not working? Definitely there's some benefits for the person, because the person is supposed to be the guard on the system. You understand it? The guard on the system.
And the guard himself has opened
and the guard
door.
has decided, oh, okay, so long as I'm the one to authorize that Kofi or Ama has come to work to be paid, I know all these people are ghosts, and I've arranged with somebody that the money will go into this account, and then when the person withdraws, we share the money.
So what? There will be an inside person in the bank as well.
Of course. What do you think will happen? The bank, the one's confirmation, my controller will pay the money into your account.
But
then somebody goes to withdraw.
Of the person who is.
Yes, so somebody goes to do the withdrawal.
So the person must have an ID.
Yes, the person goes to do the withdrawal. You understand it? And this is why we have always said that we are building systems and we continue to build systems. But if we don't look at how to really police the systems and prevent interference from people, then this is going to be difficult. I think that a time has come that every public employee must be made to do a live verification through the NIA database before you get paid. Because when we have entrusted a system onto human beings to do verification, they are doing something different. And the problem we want to solve still persists. This is just one region, oh. This is just one region, northern region. And the 2.8 million has been chopped free. And the 34 million was actually going to be, additional 34 million was going to be paid, if not for the intervention of the OSP and the controller. So in all, we were going to lose almost like 40 million cedis in just one region. So you can imagine all the 16 regions, and these things are happening all over the regions. So I think that as we are all talking about digitization, it should get to a point where you should be able to do live verification for us to know that indeed you are the one doing the verification before you get paid. People may say it's cumbersome, but the point is we cannot continue to lose these huge sums of money, to people who are not working for the state. 40 million. Do you know how much furniture you can buy for schools that don't have furniture? We say there are schools under trees in poorer communities. Do we know how many school blocks these monies can build? But we are all sitting down and then we are always putting pressure on government that we need A, B, C, D. But there are some very bad people in the system who are looting the system. People who are looting the system. They are the same one who will tell that, oh, the government is not doing well. But that person knows very well, I'm part of a syndicate, a cabal, that is looting money from the system.
Let's pick another story. Don't promote insults, misinformation on platforms. NCC chairperson warns journalists. So we're coming to the media. Media practitioners have been cautioned against allowing politicians to use their platforms to engage in insults and the promotion of violence as the country approaches the December general election. According to the chairperson of the NCCE, the National Commission for Civic Education, Ms. Kathleen Ade, The commission had identified culture of insult, misinformation, demand and supply of money, ethnic-based campaign as a threat to democracy in Ghana. Mr. Journalist, the woman was talking to you.
It's not talking to me because I don't insult people on platforms. I don't use my platform for people to go insult people. It's talking to media houses that allow people to do these things in the name of freedom of speech, freedom of the media. The media has become a platform now that people will use to say anything, and not only insult, okay? They are using it also to destroy hard-earned reputations of people, destroy businesses, because somebody can just wake up and make unverified allegation about a business. And if care is not taken, that single allegation can destroy the business. Yet we allow people to do these things on our platforms and media houses. So media that know that they are guilty of this should take note that what they are doing is destroying the country, and that we must stop. That is it. At Zed and the New Finder, we don't allow anybody to use our platform to denigrate people. We don't want to destroy businesses. So for us, we can boldly say that we are not guilty. But for those who are guilty, they should accept their guilt, change, and repent and become good people. My main story is the sale of Snit hotels.
Okay.
Organized labor has kicked against the proposed sale of 60% of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust interest in some hotels. It has therefore called on the minister responsible for pensions to direct the board of trustees of SNIT to cancel the process immediately. Otherwise, we will advise ourselves. This is the organized labor speaking about SNIT deciding to sell its shares in hotels. Okay, my question to all the issues that are coming, for me as a person, I want value for money. That is what I'm interested in.
Okay.
I want to know those against the deal. Are they against the deal because it is being sold to Brian Champon, who is a political appointee, or there's no value for money? If there's no value for money, let's put all the facts and figures out to establish that there's no value for money.
Okay.
But if there is value for money,
then let it go.
Let it go. I'm saying this in the sense that Senate is not a hotel manager.
Accepted.
Senate is a pension funds manager. If they ended up owning hotels, and the facts as put up by Senate is that they are not earning dividends from these hotels because they are not really generating what it takes for them to make that kind of dividend. If you are a Ghanaian worker, including the labor unions, we should not be entertaining our pension funds holding assets that are not bringing dividend. Okay. Then it means that we are going to retire as poor people.
Accepted. Can you hold on there? What about the questions of procurement breaches?
Which procurement breaches?
Conflict of interest.
No, no.
For you, these don't matter because so long as you're making good money.
The procurement breaches are allegations. Okay. Because it has shown from 2018 to 2019 the process they had gone through in an attempt to do this, because they have done analysis of Senate investment. They realized that some investments are just not delivering.
That is not the contention.
So I'm saying that they have listed the process they have gone through so far.
Let's go into the process.
And they told the time they put in adverts from local to international magazines, shortlisting of possible private sector people who want to come in, and the process they have gone through. That can be determined. I am saying that my money is part of the pensions money, okay? And I will want investment that is paying dividend. If my pensions money has been used for investment and it's not paying me dividend, that asset must be sold, and the money must be put in proper investment.
I don't think anybody is arguing that. It is an individual involved that the argument is about.
Why should it be individual involved? What do I care about the individual if the value for money for the asset? The asset is not a non-performing asset.
So if somebody can prove that, I can give you a better value for money.
That is what I want.
Okay.
If I can get value for money, that's what I want. I don't want my money as somebody who is contributing to SNIT, my money to be in an asset that is not paying any dividend for all this one. What sense does it make?
Everybody accepts that.
We have used SNIT to go and build Emporium, Boxing Emporium. No international boxing event has ever taken place there. Our money is locked up there. And they still, you go on pension, you are paid 200, 300 cedis a month, 400 cedis a month. Instead of investing our money properly, I have always never had my way. SNIT should be cancelled. Leave my money for me. Let me use it. Whatever I do. Because I don't see the essence of SNIT. Because you go to SNIT asset and investment, and virtually the money is gone to places that completely is doing nothing.
That's Mr.
Why did we tell this that you want to go and buy shares in MTN, which is the most profitable company in Ghana?
I'm shutting off your mic. I've shut off his mic. It's 6:50. Z Sports with Niakwe, the sportscaster, coming up next.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Here's Mensah, this is positive. Williams, Kudos! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudos, the piranha from Guyana.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
All right, so right about time for Z Sports. Niakwe, the sportscaster, in the house. And a warm welcome to all those joining in for the first time. And our headlines this morning: CK Akuno appointed CAF technical advisor for youth players. The Black Starlets wrap up preparations ahead of the Benin clash. And on the international front, Liverpool confirm Arne Slot as Jurgen Klopp's successor. Always prudent to jet off from the local front, and former Black Stars coach Charles Pabna Akuno has embarked on a new chapter in his illustrious career, having been appointed as a technical consultant for youth players development by the Confederation of African Football. In his new role, Akuno will contribute his extensive knowledge and experience to nurturing the next generation of African football stars. Akuno, who notably guided Ghana to qualify for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, will commence his duties immediately by participating in the CAF African Schools Football Championship finals in Zanzibar. This prestigious tournament, which showcases young talent from over 44 African countries, involves more than 800,000 boys and girls under the age of 15. All right, in our next story, West Ham United midfielder Mohamed Kudus has vowed to make an even greater impact in the Premier League next season. After an impressive debut campaign, Kudus ended the 2023-24 season with 14 goal involvements in the English top flight, scoring 8 goals and providing 6 assists in 33 games, most of which were really quite spectacular. He spoke to the media.
It has been a long season with ups and downs, but lots of lessons, But I'm proud of the whole team, most times in the game, but everyone gave the 100% best. But overall, I'm really proud of the team, Thanks to the manager, everyone at the club, It's my first season, but the staff, the players, the coaches, player care, everyone around the club really helped me to really settle in quite well. And yeah, big credit to myself also for believing in myself and then putting the efforts day in, day out, So we can only get better, I'm still far off how I see myself performing in this league and then doing my best. So it's good to get the first season on the run, but I have a long way to go and there's more stuff coming ahead.
Mohamed Kudus speaking to the media, promising there's a lot more to come from the star boy. Moving on to our next story, the Black Starlets wrapped up their preparations for the second and final group game of the 2024 WAFU Zone B and the 17 Championship yesterday at the Accra Sports Stadium. The team, after their 5-1 mauling of the Ivory Coast in their opening game in the tournament, did not hesitate in commencing preparation for their next game with Benin. The Black Starlets will take on their Beninois counterparts at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium this evening. Lai Kingston spoke to the media after the training session.
The match prep, we are very ready. The boys, for me, I think after the win against Ivory Coast, they were excited. We celebrated for just a day. So that our focus was on Benin throughout. We had a day off after recovery for them to look fresh for subsequent days. We trained match day -2, we trained match day -1, and then I think we are ready for tomorrow. It's going to be very tough. We have respect for every opponent that they put in front of us. We managed to see their game against the Ivorians. We've seen how we're going to approach the game. For me, I think they like going long, so we have to deal with the long balls. Backline, keep it alive straight and dropping well to defend our box. So for me, we have a game plan and hopefully works against them.
And that wraps it up for the local front. And into the international front, we go beyond the shores of Ghana and news making the headlines in the global front. Liverpool have confirmed Arne Slot as their new head coach. The final boss, who will start his role on June the 1st, replaces Jurgen Klopp, who took charge of his final Liverpool game against Wolves on Sunday after the German spent the last 9 years at Anfield. Slot has signed a 3-year deal that runs until the summer of 2027. He secured the Dutch Cup in April and led Feyenoord to their first title in 6 years in the 2022-23 Eredivisie. All right, so Chelsea head coach Mauricio Pochettino has said that his future at the club is up to owners and the sporting director. The Blues finished their 2023-24 Premier League campaign with 5 straight wins over Spurs, West Ham United, Nottingham Forest, Brighton and Bournemouth. The Blues secured 6th spot on the table, which means that the club will compete in the group stages of next season's Europa League. All right, we do something from the world of boxing. Teofimo Lopez will defend his WBO super lightweight title against Steve Clagett in Miami on June the 29th. Lopez ripped the WBO belt from Scotland's Josh Taylor with masterful points win last June and has made one successful defense so far, a unanimous decision victory over Jamie Ortiz in February. Canadian challenger Clagett has rejuvenated his roller coaster career in recent years with a string of victories since 2021 has earned him a world title shot at Lopez. And finally, to the world of tennis, Andy Murray was distracted by bizarre weather conditions as he stood on the brink of defeat in the first round of the Geneva Open. Murray trailed world number 85 Yannick Hoffmann by a set and a double break when umpire Greg Allensworth sent them back to the dressing room due to an impending storm. Murray's match will restart from 1 p.m. onwards later today. Amidst the unlikely conditions, Murray summoned 2 double faults in succession to pave way for Hoffmann to move 4-1 up in the second set, having grabbed the decisive break in the first, reeling off 12 points in a row to win it 7-5. All right, guys, and on that note, we bring the Tuesday edition of Zed Sports to a close. You can always keep up with our sports stories on www.zmultimedia.com/sports and also on all social media platforms, ZFMGH. We'll be back later in the evening at exactly 17:15 GMT, where my colleague Gatuso raised to the power 7 will be abreast with all the sporting issues. Until tomorrow morning, remember, Nia Kwe, the sportscaster, is the name, and the message is always simple but relevant. Whatever happens, do not count the days, make the days count.
Here's Mensah, this is positive. Williams, Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudus, the piranha from Guyana.
101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
It is exactly 7 a.m. and welcome to the business news segment here on Zed in the Morning. Coming up, Communications Minister charges financial institutions to offer real support to women entrepreneurs in the tech space. Financial markets post mixed performance and European futures decline as focus turns to Nvidia markets wrap. Now the details. Financial institutions have been charged to implement strategies that would rope in more women-led businesses into the financial technology space to bridge the existing gender gap. Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, has called on financial institutions to support women-led businesses with credit facilities and their enterprises so that they can grow and provide the much-needed services while ensuring that the women entrepreneurs are captured and the financial inclusion net. The minister outlined some ongoing tech-focused projects which have been designed to benefit women. The Ghana Enterprises Agency, she said, had been instrumental in driving the Women in Tech agenda.
Financial institutions need to develop gender-inclusive financing models to support women-led fintech startups, providing grants and loans with favorable terms and encouraging the adoption of gender lens investing. We must be deliberate in targeting women-led businesses for support. So I commend the Ghana Enterprises Agency. We're supporting the Ghana Tech Lab and the Kumasi Hive, who operate from the Accra Digital Center, providing training for startups and giving them some small startup funding as well. And we insist that 40% of all the trainees must be women, at least. In some of the training programs that an institution like the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications does across the country, we have a Digital Transformation Center initiative that we utilize the community ICT centers which are across the country to provide training for digital skills training and entrepreneurial skills training for businesses across the country, small businesses, peasant farmers, petty traders, and all of that. And the reports I'm getting is that up to 70% of the trainees are women, hairdressers, dressmakers. Many of them are using the digital marketing tools that we gave them to also expand the reach of their businesses and get more markets out there. So it works.
She called on the private sector and government across the African continent to commit resources to supporting women.
Governments and private sector stakeholders must work together to implement policies and regulations that foster an enabling environment for women-focused tech businesses. This includes protecting intellectual property, ensuring equity in procurement processes, and providing tax incentives for gender diverse companies. Now, can we move towards giving a tax incentive to companies that employ up to 40% women? Would that encourage them to engage more women in their workforce? I think it's something that we can consider. We also need public and private partnerships to target training and mentorship programs for women in fintech. These programs should cover technical skills and entrepreneurial and leadership training to prepare women to scale their businesses and assume leadership roles. Ghana is steadily developing girls to women entrepreneurs through various programs to improve their participation and leadership in fintech.
That was the Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Ekufo there. Now, on the financial markets, the financial market posted a mixed performance during the first day of trading of the week. While the stock markets remained stable, the cedi depreciated against the three major trading currencies. For more, we turn to Tessa Capital.
Welcome to a recap of the markets, brought to you by Tessa Capital Limited. In the opening trading session of the week, the Ghanaian stock market demonstrated stability in its indices performance. The composite index remained unchanged at 3,744.97 points, and the financial stock index held steady at 2,038.44 points. Market capitalization also stayed constant, closing at 83.9 billion cedis. No stock price movements were recorded, and neither declines nor advances were observed throughout the session. Market activity experienced a significant drop, with the traded volume declining by 91.13%. A total of 228,292 shares were traded, amounting to 79,177 cedis and 35 pesos in value. Notably, transactions involving ETI constituted 74.43% of the total volume traded. During the foreign exchange session, the Ghanaian cedi depreciated against the three major currencies. It fell by 0.29% against the dollar, 0.31% against the British pound, and 0.23% against the euro. According to the mid-rates provided by the Bank of Ghana, the cedi closed at 13 cedis 83 pesos to the US dollar, 17 cedis 52 pesos to the British pound, and 15 cedis and 3 pesos to the euro. This brings our review to an end, and from all of us at Tessa Capital, make it a great day. Visit us online at tessacapital.com or call us on 050-154-6859 for more information. Tessa Capital, grow your wealth.
Tessa Capital is a leading financial institution in Ghana. We thank them for those updates. Now, in international business, European stock futures declined, along with Asian equities, as investors shift their focus to Nvidia Corporation. Out later in the week, contracts for the Euro Stoxx 50 fell, while U.S. futures were mixed. Futures on 10-year U.S. Treasury steadied, while gold and copper changed hands near all-time highs and wheat prices surged. The Bloomberg Commodity Spot Index reached its highest level since January 2023 on Monday. Asian shares took a breather on Tuesday after 7 days of gains, with Li Auto Incorporated leading losses in the MSCI Asia Pacific Index after the company's first quarter vehicle sales missed estimates. Stocks in Australia and Japan also dipped. Most of the region's currencies slipped against the US dollar. Traders' focus is now turning to Nvidia, one of the top companies powering the artificial intelligence frenzy, and what the company's earnings on Wednesday say about growth in the sector. In Asia, China's economic struggles remain in the spotlight, with fresh data showing that there is little sign of a turnaround in its debt-plagued property sector. Local governments reaped the least revenue in 8 years through land sales last month, showing the fiscal strains faced by those authorities who depend on such revenue for a large chunk of their total income. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index gained as investors continue to eye the cautious mode from the Federal Reserve officials. Speaking overnight, Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester joined the ranks of U.S. policymakers, suggesting less scope for interest rate cuts than previously expected. J.P. Morgan, Chase & Co.'s Mark Kolanvich held firm in his gloomy outlook on the equities, urging clients not to buy stocks. Elsewhere, Australia's central bank resumed a discussion of interest rate hikes at its May policy meeting before deciding that the case to stand pat was stronger as it aims to avoid excessive fine-tuning. The Aussie fell as much as 0.3% versus the US dollar before pairing losses. That is all we have for the business news segment. But before we go, a recap of the major stories. Communications Minister charges financial institutions to offer real support to women entrepreneurs in the tech space. Now, the financial markets posted mixed performance, and on the international front, European futures decline as focus turns to Nvidia and market wraps. I am Saka Abdullahi. Jerry Ham continues with the show.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beijing, a 360 multimedia fam has emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Zed TV and the innovative realms of Zed Digital, capital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the New Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
Of Ghana, all roads lead to the African Union Hall, Pentagon Legon campus. Pentagon is celebrating its milestone all week long from the 19th all through today to the 25th of May. It's dubbed Pent at 25. So yeah, on Sunday there was a launch of the 25th anniversary with a gospel rock show. It featured Kofi Uzu, Perez Music, Bethel Revival Choir, F.A. Grace, and many more. And then yesterday, Monday the 20th, there was a cleanup exercise and reproductive health awareness, as well as student and staff health screening. Then today being the Tuesday 21st, this is what is happening. There's a seminar, there'll be a donation to charity, there'll be an alumni homecoming, and a commissioning of renovated air-conditioned study rooms right at Pentagon. So that is for today. And then tomorrow there's a cooking and eating competition, charity sales, and then there will be a movie night on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. Thursday, football tournament and a karaoke night. Friday, Islamic dialogue, exhibition, and launch of Staff Friday wear. Saturday, there will be a health walk, and the whole celebration will climax with Penn's most popular Legacy Night, which showcases a list of Ghanaian hip life artists. So be there and let's have fun. It's Pent at 25.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Yeah, you want to imagine, you want to close your eyes, I always say, but not when you're driving though, and just imagine a place that is in sync with your lifestyle, a place that is so alluring, tree-lined streets, overlooking a beautiful Ibri mountain. That imagination can become a reality for you. Why? Because your number one leading private real estate company of the year, Lakeside Estates, is giving you the golden opportunity to become a homeowner at this very location. And it is the Lakeside Hills. Lakeside Hills, a place so safe and secure. You get a sense of calm and ease, fostering a family-friendly neighborhood. Go have a look at the place. You'll be amazed at this very location. And there are various house types and for you to choose from. So you want to go there. It's family friendly. There is a 2-bedroom detached standard. There's a 2-bedroom detached deluxe. There are the 3 bedrooms detached, 3 bedrooms detached with boys quarters, and a 4-bedroom story executive. So why don't book a viewing or call these numbers: 0204 775 040, 0204 775 040, or you can also call 0501 418 622, 0501 418 622, or 020 477 5042, 020 477 5042. You can also visit the website, it's lakesideestate.com, or you can chase them on their social media platforms. It's at lakeside_estate for all platforms, and you get all the details there. Life is beautiful at Lakeside Hills, where you can live your best life, developed by Lakeside Estate. And you know, Lakeside Estate, they are the 3 times winner of the CIMG Real Estate Company of the Year and the Greater Overall Real Estate Company of the Year for 2023. That is Lakeside Estates. You don't want to miss that. Top story for today. The TUC is kicking against the sale of 60% of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust's interest in some hotels. And Smith says, TUC says, no way, we won't allow it. It's a conflict of interest. We'll be talking to TUC to find out what they think of this very story and why they are kicking against it, what the problem is. We'll come back and discuss that right after this. upcoming growth of telcos in Ghana. That's coming from 8 a.m. all through to 8:55. That conversation is coming up today, so you better be excited about it. We're talking to the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecoms about the growth of telcos in this country. And then today being Tuesday, 9 to 10, what is happening is Health and Wellness Tuesdays. Should I remind you again? Of course, I will remind you. Mondays are for personal growth and development. Tuesdays are for health and wellness. Wednesdays are for science and technology. Thursdays, arts, culture and tourism. And on Fridays, we have our business roundtables. That is how our last hour of the show is always going to be. But today being Tuesdays, Health and Wellness Tuesdays, Dr. Collins Bedu Ajiman. He happens to be the president of the Ghana Psychological Association. He's coming through today for a discussion on taking care of your mental health. We're going to talk about mental health. For those of us who assume that any mental health challenge is madness, where the good doctor is going to come through to disabuse our minds of all these misconceptions and some myths concerning mental health. That is also happening today. It's a packed day. Right about now, we want to go into the TUC discussion and want to talk to Dr. Kwabena Nyakoto, who is the Director of Research and Policy at TUC. Why is the TUC against this sale? What is the problem? If it's going to give Ghana money, like Mr. Vizaku was saying, if we're going to get value for money, why should we not do it? What are the challenges? Even if after SNIT has proven that everything went through due process and there was nothing untoward, why are we still having a problem? We'll be coming with that discussion with Dr. Kwabena Nyakoto, who is the Director of Research and Policy at the TUC. But once again, let me remind you, at 8 o'clock, we come in with a discussion. Zed Talk is about telcos, and we're privileged to have the Ghana Chamber of Telcos Chief Executive himself, Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, coming into the studio to have that discussion. But let's talk about TUC and let's talk about why the big deal. Why are we worried? If it's for good, why should we not go for it? What is organized labor's challenge with the sale? Dr. Kwabena Nyakoto is on the line, and we want to find out. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
It's a privilege having you on Zed in the morning once again.
You're welcome.
Sir, organized labor has kicked against the proposed sale of 60% of SNIT's interest in these hotels. What is the problem with this very sale or this upcoming sale, if I may ask, sir?
A lot of problems. The whole transaction in our view is shrouded in secrecy. You have first hotels with different prospects. You lump them all together, see they are all one. They all have the same prospect, and say that you are selling it. But most importantly, we then find that the politicians at the helm of SNIT can only find another politician whose proposal they consider to be superior. This idea that we would dispose of national assets, politicians would dispose it of, and another politician also buys it. It's immoral in our view, and we think that it has to be discouraged.
So it's not a question of illegal, but immoral, sir.
Yeah, to a very large extent, yes, there's a high level of immorality. It's difficult to establish for now the illegality, but we are on that process. So we say that the whole process is shrouded in secrecy, and that if you go into it, we are likely to find things that may border on illegality. But for now, we are clear in our minds that disposing of national assets by politicians and being bought by politicians is immoral. It's not, and it has happened before, and we think that we should stop this process.
Okay, Doc, let me find out. SNIT has come up with a response, and they are saying that this whole thing went through international competitive tendering, and they gave a whole process of what transpired for as far back as 2018 November. Why are we still on this if this is going to bring us the money that we need? Because I don't think organized labor has a problem with SNIT selling these shares, but it's to the human being, Brian Champo.
Not necessarily. We have a problem with even the decision to sell the shares. These are companies that are doing well. We know of SNIT investments that are not doing well. Nobody is tackling them. We know of basic issues that SNIT have to tackle. If you read, for example, the ILO report, that report is simply, since 2014, has been asking SNIT to do a funding policy, just a policy, and SNIT has been unable to do that kind of funding policy for 10 years. So there are important basic things that SNIT has to do, and it's not able to do it. But when it comes to disposal of assets, then they are quick to do so. So we think that, and as has been said already, if you take Labadi Beach Hotel, it paid dividends of about 25 million to SNIT. So these are not the loss-making ventures that SNIT will have to dispose of quickly. There are other ventures that are actually even idle. They are not making any investment, anything for SNIT. And those are the ones you ought to take a look at, and not the ones that are making profit. So it's not as if that we are against the sale of the thing to the person, by example. We are against the sale of the of SNIT investment to politicians. So the sale is being done by politicians, and it's politicians that are buying it, not by example as a person. But again, we are also not convinced that we should dispose of profit-making assets.
Yes, Doc, I understand that point, but some have also argued that SNIT should not even be in the hotel business in the first place. So it's just letting go of something SNIT should have let go of a long time ago, because the hotel business one is not even that profitable. So why wouldn't organized labor just support so that this thing goes?
What is the basis of somebody saying that the hotel business is not profitable? SNIT collects pension contributions, and they have to invest it. They have an investment department. They have to determine which area is profitable. SNIT has investment in state-owned enterprises that are making losses. Why haven't people complained about that one? I've just told you that some of the hotels are paying dividends to SNIT. So there's no basis for anybody to say that the hotel business is not profitable. Why are foreign investors pouring money into Kempinski, into all those other hotels, big hotels in this country? There's no basis for that argument that the hotel business is not it's not profitable. And if there's any basis, it hasn't had to be individuals and their views on how they should invest its resources. It has to be something well articulated by all the partners, and then we know that this is not the way to go.
Okay, Doc, Siraj, as he said, is going to investigate, as they've been petitioned by the NDC's MP for Northong. What are your expectations from this Siraj investigation?
We expect it to be speedy, rapid, so that unlike many other things in Ghana, it doesn't have to be overtaken by other events. So we expect that that investigation to move on speedily and give us a result. But even beyond that, we think from an organized labor perspective, this is not in the interest of SNIT. This is not in the interest of Ghanaian workers, and it has to be stopped. We also expect government to actually intervene and say that there are moral questions that make this deal not a neat one and has to be stopped.
SNIT has said that they will fully cooperate with Siraj throughout this investigation process, and that they wish to assure pensioners, contributors, and the public that it is committed to managing its affairs sustainably. Are you convinced of that, Doc?
We are not convinced, and that is why we will do other things besides the investigation by Siraj. We will do other things to make sure that this deal is stopped.
If you could throw some more light on other things, Doc, what would that be?
Oh, in the statement we said that we will advise ourselves. And you know, when unions say they will advise themselves, you can understand.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Kwabena Nyakuotu is the Director of Research and Policy at the Trade Union Congress. You heard him. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
You're most welcome.
Have a great day. Okay.
Jerry,
why you back?
Senate, no, see, let's get certain things clear. Senate owns these hotels.
Yes.
Senate did not say it's getting completely out of hotel business. Senate put up a strong point that one, they are a pension fund. Owning the hotel 100% means that they have to manage it. They lack the expertise in hotel management.
Owning the hotel 100% doesn't necessarily mean they have to manage it.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
You can own it and get someone to manage it.
And they have realized that the management of the hotel is costing them a lot.
Okay.
Which they think that a better manager can do it better.
Okay.
So Senate's position is this. Senate is not getting any dividend from these hotels for some of them, not all. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not all.
That
I know.
statement.
No. I'm not saying all. I'm saying
yes.
I can get dividend of 1 million. It doesn't mean that it's worth it. And if administration cost of managing the hotel wipes out the dividend, what do I get? So what I'm saying is that let's be objective in this discussion.
That's what we do here.
Senate said it lacked the financial muscle, the managerial know-how, among other requirements to maintain the hotels to match international standards. That's number one argument.
Okay.
It says it lacked the financial muscle, the managerial know-how, among other requirements to maintain the hotels to international standards. Senate's objective is to develop its own hotels into world-class standards in their respective categories. It's therefore seeking capital injection from competent strategic investors with expertise in owning and managing hotels to finance this development. They want to also uplift the hotels, right? Aside the fact that they lack that know-how, they are also looking at refurbishing the hotels to global standards. But the capital injection that to do that is also a burden. Okay. So if they get 60% for any strategic, whether it's Brian Champ or whether it is Golden Tulip or whatever, the strategic investor is also coming in addition to the expertise and know-how, is coming to inject that capital that is needed to actually lift the hotels to that standard that will make it more profitable for the benefit of the pensioner. Best way is to partner people in the private sector, because they need to go and invest so much money again to uplift this. And when they themselves realize that their managerial know-how is a problem, really it doesn't make any really good sense. So they said that to do this, they have decided that get a private partner who has the expertise and will also bring in financial capital. So two things Smith has mentioned here: the technical know-how, the managerial know-how, and financial injection, okay, to be able to make the hotels more profitable. So Senate is not selling the hotel 100%. They are not saying they are taking everything out of it. But the belief is that if they get people with the financial know-how, financial power, the technical know-how, the managerial know-how, this hotel will be more profitable than they are. And if you become more profitable, it is the benefit for the pension fund. So I think that we shouldn't create the impression the hotel are being sold outright. Okay,
that's number one.
That's number. They are not being sold outright.
Okay, 60%.
They are only 60% being given out.
Why not 40%? Why 60?
Well, it depends, because if you are looking for a certain capital injection, you look at the value of the asset, then you know what you need. So probably the capital injection that is needed to uplift the hotel to the global capital is such that if you look at the value of the asset, that's why I always say that we need to know the assets, their value, so that we know we are getting value for money. Irrespective of who we are giving it to, we should know that it is value for money. So if we are told that, okay, let's say the total assets of the 4 hotels is maybe $100 million. To uplift the hotels to global standards, you need maybe $60 or $70 million to do it. And it doesn't have that. And therefore, it's giving that as a share to a private partner to come and inject mad money to lift the hotel to that level. Then that one, you clearly will consider, okay, then we are just giving them what they are to come and inject to be able to uplift the hotel. That's what I'm saying, that instead of saying that it's immoral because the person buying is a politician, is rather to focus on what is the value of those assets now. And the price we are giving out for the 60%, is it value for money? Is it true that if those people come in, they will be able to manage the hotels better than Senate is doing? And will they be more profitable than they are now? If they will manage it better and it's more profitable, Senate may make more money from the 40% that they own than owning 100% now. Because if you can't manage it well, and you can't do the investment to lift it, then your profitability will be low.
Mr. Dako, are you not at all worried that politicians are selling state assets to politicians?
Please.
Are you not worried?
Please. The question is, do we want to sell the state asset?
Oh,
no.
Are you not worried?
I will only be worried if it's established there's no value for money. I don't mind who buys the thing. The question is if the state is getting what it deserves from the deal. There is this idea of politician. In which part of the world are politicians not owning the country in business? Those who own the defense companies in America, don't know politicians. Those who own it, which country will you tell me that business are owning it, who are owning it, do not belong to one party or the other, or do not finance one party or the other? It is so this idea we are fixated with as if there are other parts of the world where business owners have nothing to do with politics. It's a mirage. Every business person is a big politician that finances one political party or the other. And it is public knowledge in countries with open political financing system. Everybody knows where Facebook and co will send their money in the American elections. Everybody knows where the arms manufacturers will send their money. Everybody knows where Amazon will finance, which party Amazon will finance. It is not a secret because they make their financing open. So everybody knows that this business will finance the Democrats, this will finance the Republicans. Does that mean that if state assets are available for those people to be able to do this thing, they should not be given? Are you aware that Amazon had a deal of over $600 million with the American security agencies?
So
are you saying? No, I'm saying that see, state asset.
Okay, so let's wait for
you are worried that it's being sold to a Ghanaian who is a politician, but not worried when it's sold to a foreigner. Haven't we sold state assets to foreigners in this country? Foreigners that will actually take the money out of this country. That one we are not worried because it's a foreigner, it's not a black man, it's not a Ghanaian. But the moment it's a Ghanaian and there's a political angle, whether there's value for money or not, we should throw it away because the basic point is a politician. Please, that kind of thinking will kill all of us.
Mr. Daku, what do you know about...
It's the same politician you talk about. They create jobs and employ people.
What do you know about the makeup of Rock City?
Well, I don't want to talk much about it. I'll leave that to them. But what I'm saying is that, see, for me as an individual, my money is in SNIT pensions. So my money is in SNIT pensions. So how the money?
So are the monies of Dr.
That is the point. So how we will make these things more profitable so that the SNIT can pay us better pensions is what we should all be concerned about. If the hotels today, assuming they are 10% profitable, and then private capital can come in, know how, managerial skills will come in, and maybe the profitability will go to 25%. Which one is better for the Ghanaian worker?
Okay.
Which one?
Let me find out from you. What about this argument they make that rather than bulk all these four and give the 60% out, why not say Labadi Beach is doing this, is doing that? Let's treat Labadi Beach separate. Let's treat La Palm separate. Let's treat Rich Royal separate. Elmina Beach separate. Why are we bulking all these four and selling?
But what is the meaning of bulking? They want to divest 60% in all of them.
Okay.
Each of them 60% going out.
And all four are going to one organization.
You see, this is the problem we're having. I'm saying that if we're selling these hotels to Radisson, is anybody going to complain?
Of course no.
Will anybody complain if we are going to sell it to Hilton?
Nope. It depends. It depends.
Will anybody complain? Will anybody that we are purchasing 4 or 5 hotels to Ritz-Carlton hotels around the world to buy? So why are we putting all the 4? You are happy to sell to these people because they are multinationals. A Ghanaian company that is also trying to become a multinational, that one does not deserve to own it. See, this mentality of the black man is sickness.
Have you seen?
It's sickness.
Have you seen
that? You think a foreigner can own multiple hotels around the world, including you can sell all your hotels to them. You don't mind. But if a Ghanaian is trying to do a similar, that one is dangerous.
Because it's a
Ghanaian, because it's a politician. Which Ghanaian is not a politician? Which businessman in this country doesn't support one political party or the other? This fixation about politicians is because we don't make our political financing system open. If we make it open, I don't see why a politician owning a business and want to own a state asset that is up for sale, and you say the person shouldn't own it simply because it's a politician. But if a foreigner is coming to own it, that one you're okay because it's not an MPP or an NDC person. Please, this mentality has to stop.
Have you seen the criteria that was laid out in the request for proposal?
I haven't seen it, but Senate has shown the dates they publish in the papers, from the graphic to Times to the Economics magazine. They put all out the dates that they put up all these things. So anybody who is interested can go and check whether these were really published. I am saying that look, I'll be due for pension very soon. Okay. 10, 15 years is not long. I'll be in pension. I want to get a better pension. But as it stands now, I'm not going to get any better pension in Ghana. And therefore, if my pension money is being invested in a way that I think that is not useful and it can be done better. Look, let me give you SNIT. Can you imagine that MTN sold shares and SNIT didn't buy? Can you imagine? I've just sent you a list of where SNIT have our investment. The most profitable company in Ghana, SNIT has no investment in, which is MTN. SNIT investment, let me tell you, number one, they are having a national trust holding company. SNIT has 43.48% there. National trust holding company. Do you know what they do? Yes, NTAC is a big, NTAC is a big brand. NTAC, do you know their status now? Do you know? I hope you know their status now. 43.48% of SNIT money is locked there. Ghana International Bank PLC, SNIT has 15%. Fidelity Bank, SNIT has 13.58%. Universal Merchant Bank, UNB, SNIT has 8.96%. Consumer Finance Company, SNIT has 5.7% shares. Exim Guarantee Company Limited, SNIT has 50%. Exim Guarantee, do you know how, have you checked how their loans are given out in that place? SNIT has 50% of that institution. Do you understand it?
What's your point?
Which people get which people get the loans from that bank? Which people get the loans?
What point are you trying to make?
I'm just putting to SNIT. If they are saying that assets should not be sold to somebody because it's a minister, it's a political figure, they should go and find out who gets the loans from the banks that they are putting
it, or to TUC?
To TUC. Okay. They should find out who people are getting the biggest loans from the banks where they have their shares. Export Finance Company, SNIT has 3%. CDH Holdings, 1.3%. CCL Properties Limited, SNIT owns it 100%. Ghana Industrial and Commercial Estate Limited, SNIT owns it 100%.
Yeah, Giselle.
Ghana Hostels Limited, SNIT owns it 100%. MMC Property Management Limited, SNIT owns 90%.
Mr. Dak, what's your point?
I am asking you, all these companies, what do they bring to SNIT at the end of the day? Have we checked their dividend payment, the profitability to state? West Hills Rich Company Limited, West Hills Rich Company Limited, 80% SNIT owned. Switchback Developers Limited, 70% owned by SNIT. Trust F-Line Properties Limited, 70%.
Okay, Mr. Dako.
RSS Property Developers Limited.
I'm not going to shut your mic down.
Transport, when was the first? Tell me the international boxing that was held in transport that brought any money. Since we spent money in that.
What's your point? That because they've not hosted a big USIC versus...
So the revenue to pay for the money, where is it coming from? The asset is that they're generating no revenue for anybody.
There's a gym there.
Why is SNIT asking that the thing should bring money? We should begin to look, all this asset that SNIT money is locked in. Jerry, if you look at it critically, there could be more profitable areas that SNIT can invest. Look, Central Steel Limited, SNIT has 26%. Ghana Agro Food Company Limited, please, what do they do?
GAFCO. You're asking me what GAFCO
40%.
You're asking me what GAFCO does.
I want to know. I don't know. I want to know. Best Block Concrete Products Limited. Temaloop Oil. I don't know the last time I heard of this company. Temaloop Oil Company. 24% owned by SNIT. Subri Industrial Plantation Limited. 13.6% owned by SNIT. Bredal Trust International Paints Company Limited. 60% owned by SNIT.
Okay.
BNK Particle Board Limited. 48.7% owned by SNIT. Ningo Salt Limited. 40% owned by SNIT. Danes Limited. 5.64% owned by SNIT. Gulf Consolidated Limited, 42%. Broad Ghana, 32%. Golden Beach Hotels Limited, Elmina, La Palm, Buzia, 100%. Hotel Investments Ghana Limited, Labadi, 100%. SNIT Guest House Limited, 100%. Trust Lodge, 100%. Trust Logistics, 100%. Trust Hospital, 100%. Ogwa Hotels, 94.43%. Simnet Ghana Limited, 85%. Intercity STC coaches, 80%. Have you found out the latest state of Intercity STC Limited? Have you found out? Kumasi Abato, 53.4%. Accra Abato, 36. When was the last time I went to Accra Abato, Jerry? 36 point. Look, see, you see, this is the kind of investment pension monies have been put in. As I said, most profitable company in Ghana is MTN. When they were selling shares, I've not heard that Senate has gone to buy some.
Mr.
Please,
Dr. Engineer.
So it's time we begin to tell Senate that the investments in so many areas that are not that profitable. If we can get private partners to make them more profitable for more money to come in, that you see, pension funds is paying out every month too. So if your investment goes to places that you are not really generating enough returns on the investment, you'll be paying 300 400 to people as pension funds. Pension. If that is not enough to pay the person's electricity bill alone, let alone water. That is why we retire and we die early in this country. Because when you go on retirement, your earnings drops like about 95%. Because what's need to give you is just about 5% of what you were owing when you were working. You were earning when you were working, which cannot pay your utilities alone. So you die early. So we all have an interest to make sure that if there's something that has to be done for these investments of SNIT to generate higher profitability, if some of them have to be disposed of and the money sent to other places that will bring in more profitability, it's important that we all talk about it. But that's why I'm saying that this transaction I don't have much details. I'm not saying that no, it's good or bad. I'm saying that if it's a good deal, if we look through the books and it's a good deal, and it will make the hotels more profitable, and probably SNIT's 40% will bring in more than SNIT owning the 100%, then we should go for it. Because what we need is the profitability of the SNIT investment. But if we want to own the thing and be getting 2%, 5% profit, when maybe we give it to expert management or have private partner, we can make 25, 30% profit, which is in our interest, we should be looking at it. So it should not be we are against it because the person buying it is a politician. I don't think that should even be out of the issue completely. If a politician is buying it at value for money and the returns on investment will benefit the pensioner better, I will accept that deal. I'm not interested in who is buying it. I'm interested in the profitability of the investment and value for money for the investment. Last week,
point well made.
Last week, NPR's former chief executive was here and said we are heading for a pensions crisis. I've told you here that in this country, if you look at SNIT contributions, they tell you that people are being paid 2,000 cedis, more than half of pensioners in Ghana. And therefore, if the money is not properly managed to earn something good for the work.
I think you're belaboring the point. Your mic is down. I think you're belaboring the point. You've made a point that, one, SNIT should do better investment. You said that. So that we take.
If they can be divested, if private partnership can be brought in, and they'll be more profitable than they are when they are 100% owned by SNIT, let's do it. Because for the pension fund, profitability is key. Because every month you are doing payout. And you can only do those payouts based on your profitability. Because if you are relying on only the contributions to pay out, you run out of money. The fund will collapse if you are only paying from that because your investments are not yielding much dividend for you. It means that the fund is heading for collapse, which nobody wants in Ghana. That's why I'm saying that this deal, whether a foreigner or a Ghanaian, a politician or a Christian or a Muslim, whoever is owning it, is not my business. My business is that let's first of all establish, is there value for money in the deal? Will the expertise says they lack, the technical know-how, and the financial capability to reinvest and make the facilities global standard? Will these things make the hotel more profitable?
Point well made. Your mic is off again.
That is best for all of us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Elvis Daku, for coming through and making as much as you can on this issue. We'll be trying to get through to someone in the hotel space for him to tell us about this as well. It's very, very important that we talk it out. Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis Daku, for coming through and making your point as clear and as vociferous as always. Thank you very, very, very much.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Yes, we're back. It's still top story. TUC is kicking against the sale. Mr. Office Daku says, let it go. Who cares who owns it? So long as it's bringing more money, let's do it and do it well. He said, even go ahead. All of your other stakes in other businesses, Mr. Office Daku says, bring in as much private partnership as possible and let them come and play in it. He gave you a tall list. He sent the list to me. I decided not to read it. How many? 46 businesses. He says, Snit, bring in as many of the private players as possible and let them come in and also play their part. That is still Zed in the Morning. You know, your very best shows are here on Z 101.9 FM. So enjoy the best shows on lifestyle, leisure, and business. Like we keep saying, we're heavy on business with touches of lifestyle and leisure. Right here, every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sundays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The king of country is in this house. Yes, Tommy and Forcing, the Tommy and Forcing, you know, TAF for long, Tommy and Forcing for short. He comes your way with Country Express. This on every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also, he's on from Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Country Express with Tommy Annan Forcing is here. Also on Mondays, in fact, from Mondays to Fridays at 5 a.m. every single morning, Pastor Joshua Neste is here with Morning Blessings right here on Z 101.9 FM, 5 a.m. all through to 5:30. What happens at 5:30 is that we switch to Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabil, 5:30 a.m. daily on Z 101.9 FM. And then that brings us to 5:55 when yours truly, I come in with Zed in the Morning. Then at 10 a.m. Mondays to Fridays, NYA the brand comes your way with The Brighter Side. The Brighter Side is a brunch and your lunch and after lunch show takes you from 10 a.m. all through to 1 p.m. Join NYA the brand as she puts some brightness in your life. On Tuesdays, this and every Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. It's an hour show. It's I Have a Story to Tell. There is another legend in the house. Honorable Fritz Buffalo is here. He hosts amazing Ghanaians doing amazing stuff. I Have a Story to Tell. That's the name of the show. Right here on Z 101.9 FM. And then you also want to tune into our drive. It is Oforiwa Oyo coming your way with a gang. Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The show is Highway 1019. It's the drive that puts a smile on your face after a hard day's work. Our Saturdays are also booked. Early morning, 8 a.m. You want to tune in to Time with Professor Stephen Adair is here on Z 101.9 FM this and every Saturday at 8 a.m. Tune in and let the great man give you some nuggets of wisdom to bring some greatness into your life. On Sundays, Z Gospel Groove. That is that we start your Sundays right, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. DDM, David Dakwa Mensah, comes your way with Z Gospel Groove this and every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Yeah, it's a Tuesday. Tuesdays are health and wellness Tuesdays. You know that already. I don't want to remind you so much about Tuesdays, health and wellness Tuesdays. Today, we're bringing you Dr. Dr. Collins Bedu Ajiman. He's here to talk about mental health. We're having a discussion with Dr. Collins Bedu Ajiman, who is the president of the Ghana Psychological Association. The topic is taking care of our mental health here on Zed in the Morning. You know how we do it. Mondays are for personal growth and development. Tuesdays are for health and wellness. Wednesdays we do science and tech. And then on Thursdays, we do art, culture, and tourism. Fridays, we do the business roundtable right here on Zed in the Morning. My name is Jerry Hom. And when we come back, we'll be talking to the big man himself. He's in the house. He's my boss from long ago. He's Dr. Engineer Kenneth Shigbe. He's right in the house with us. We'll be talking the growth of telcos in the space, the growth of telcos. You heard Mr. Daku saying that Smith should have gone to invest in MTN. I'm pretty sure that discussion has other angles that Dr. Engineer Kenneth Shigbe will bring to us. We're discussing the role and the missions of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber in the telco industry. We'll look at the CEO's journey, the vision for the chamber and the sector, the state of the industry. We'll also look at key achievements and milestones in the past decade. Then we'll come to government policies and regulations. We'll look at technological advancement. We'll even ask him about the Mami Watada went to cut the lines under the sea and all that and more. Future prospects, infrastructure development. I'm sure we would want to know also about Starlink and all the rest. All this conversation coming up on Zed Talk right here on Zed in the Morning. But before we go in, you want to join us, you are free to do so. 0544321019. That's the line. 0544321019. You can also follow us on Instagram, on X, and on Facebook. The handle is at ZFMGH, ZEDFMGH, or ZEDFMGH. That's the handle. And also on TikTok and YouTube is at Z Multimedia, and zmultimedia.com. That happens to be the website address. You can go there and listen to the show right now. We're coming up with Zed Talk with Dr. Engineer Kenneth Shigbe. He's the Chief Executive of the Ghana Telcos Chamber.
It's your lifestyle.
singer, actress, civil rights activist, Mariam Makiba. Zinzeli Mariam Makiba. If you're too young, you wouldn't understand that. Yeah, Mariam Makiba, exciting. That's a rendition of Pata Pata. You know, Osibisa also has their own. But this one is from Mariam Makiba. Yes, the Gen Zs are looking at me, they're wondering what this guy talking about. Anyway, it's that talk. Privilege to have in the house the boss of the Ghana Telcos Chamber. Good morning, boss.
Thank you very much. I'm not boss, I'm chief servant.
Yeah, good morning, chief servant, engineer, Dr. Engineer Kenneth Eshbe is in the house with us today.
Great to be here. Great edifice, that you have here. And some good job that you're doing as well.
Thank you so much. The House of Zion, we are humbled to have you in our midst. And unfortunately, you walked in when Wisdako was going all ballistic.
Was in his element.
Yeah, that's Wisdako, irrepressible. You kill his mic, his sound is still high. Thank you so much for joining us. The Ghana Telcos Chamber, it's been around for a while. The role, the mission.
Well, so, somewhere in 2011, then it was the telcos that realized the fact that they had common issues that they needed to deal with. But then, they were all going one after the other and, issues were not being resolved. So they believed in the African saying that if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, then you come together and go it. So they came together to champion the cause of the industry, push for regulations and policies that would inure to the benefit of the country, as well as promote the interest of the industry. And so the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications was born. So the mission is to be that platform that delivers and sustain productive relations between the members.
Okay.
And then stakeholders. So from your policymakers, your regulators, to your consumers, to academia, these stakeholders, while maintaining fair and strong competition that yields world-class services. So that's really very important. So though we come together to cooperate, we also compete. So we say our paradigm is co-opetition. So the paradigm is co-opetition. And the vision for the chamber itself is to be the voice of the most trusted industry in Ghana. I dare say we want to even do that globally. So that's the vision of the chamber when the forefathers set it up. So it started, as I said, with 5 operators. Then the tower companies were brought in when the NCA brought the policy for towers to be separated from the operators to allow for sharing of infrastructure. Then we also brought in other players who expanded the chamber because we realized the fact that the issues that impacted the industry was becoming ubiquitous. So you had other players that were also contributing to the industry. So the likes of the fiber companies.
Okay.
So beyond just the operators who also, now we became 3. So you have AT, you have MTN, and then you have Telecel. You also have Comsys and then C-Squared, who provide fiber companies, so you call them fiber cos.
Okay.
The tower companies currently are only 2 that are in the chamber, American Towers and then Helios Towers. Then we also have the OEMs that have also been added to it. So you have the likes of Ericsson and then Huawei. So these make up the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. The interesting thing is that mobile money also then started.
Exactly.
And so when mobile money started, it was just the 3 telecom operators that were operating mobile money. And then the Bank of Ghana, when the Payment Systems Act came, then licensed other EMI. So beyond the 3 telco-based mobile money companies, you also have a bank-led, which is G Money, and then you have ZPay, which is a fintech mobile money company. So what has been birthed is the EMI's Chamber of Ghana. So there's a new chamber that has been birthed,
and it's not under your chamber.
So it's both are under, well, they are sister chambers.
Okay,
they are sister chambers because the Bank of Ghana regulates the EMIs, whilst NCA regulates the telco side. Okay, so what has happened is that the EMIs, that's the three mobile money, telco-based mobile money companies, then joined with the other two, and then we formed the EMI's Chamber of Ghana, which also I still chief servant over.
Oh, okay. So you were here and you're there as well.
Yes.
Oh, so then it's all part of your journey.
Yes.
Tell us about your journey with the telcos.
Well, you know that I started off doing pure electrical engineering. I've climbed poles. I have installed transformers. I've done a lot of some of the buildings that SNIT owned, from Trust Towers to the Pyramid House. Well, projects I did as an electrical engineer, a building services engineer. Then I joined Joy FM, and in 2000, I joined Joy FM to become their chief technology officer. Oh. Then in January, then in April, Kwesi Chum, who lives not far away from here, calls me to his house one Sunday and says, "Do you want to be general manager of Joy FM?" And I'm like, this man, I said in my head, this man must be mad. But then out of my mouth said, why not? Because I love the challenge. So this was somebody who was purely an electrical engineer, because I left KN Tech. Well, we called it UST, but now it's KNUST, as an electrical engineer. So I moved from being the chief technology officer to become the general manager of Joy FM. And so the rest is history. I left there, went to Liberia to do some work, came back, went to OMP, came back to Joy FM again as a multi-TV CEO, and then went to Graphic as the managing director of Graphic. So I've done print, I've done media, eventually from print, to broadcasting to online.
Exactly.
And then I resigned from Graphic, when there was the situation where the president's representative on the NCA was the president representative on the NCA was appointed from my staff. So one of my directors, who was director of newspaper, was then appointed onto the NCA. And I thought that constitutionally, the state-owned media is supposed to be separated from the presidency. And so I thought it was wrong. And then also you could not have one of my staff, so he's my subordinate in one breath, in another breath in one, and so I thought it was wrong.
So you resigned on principle?
I completely, so my letter I wrote to the NCA was that I was resigned on stated grounds. So I resigned, and then Kweku Sechiado had then left the chamber to become the chairperson of the NCA. So the opportunity opened, I went for an interview, and then I became chief servant at the chamber. So that's,
what's your vision for this sector? I mean, this
so basically, I believe that the telecommunication, the communication industry, the technology industry offers us a platform. The word leapfrog has been overused, but I believe that's what it offers us. That we have messed up on the first industrial revolution, the second, the third, and even the fourth. So the fifth industrial revolution, we can take advantage of technology to really be able to move to become a first world country. So I believe this is an industry that needs to be grown, harnessed. It's not an industry that should be treated as a cash cow, but rather that workhorse that will drag other, sectors of our industry together. So that workhorse that will drag our agriculture. Currently, agriculture is still stuck in first industrial revolution areas. We're using hoes and cutlasses still, but we can use technology to be able to transform our agriculture, to be able to reduce, the post-harvest losses, to take out the grind that our folks who are, farming do. I believe that we can use technology to ensure an equitable distribution of our medical facilities. So my auntie in Chiame or in Asadame, for example, should be able to benefit from a surgeon who is in Accra using 5G technology to be able to do surgery. I believe we should be able to use technology to transform the way education goes. Again, democratizing it, make sure that the quality teachers are everywhere. So I believe that, you know, if you look at what has happened in the fintech space, the number of Ghanaian businesses that are being birthed. You look at the examples of ZPay, for example, started from the ground and now a big company, a multinational company. I believe technology can unleash that power in us. So we need to harness that. And I don't think that, you know, as a country, we're doing that well enough.
Technology should not be viewed as a cash cow, but as a workhorse.
Yes.
That's a serious statement.
It's a very important statement.
Why cash cow? Are we treating it as a cash cow?
Completely treating. So you see, if you take, the economics to tell you that you take the sin industries, like alcohol, like cigarettes, and even sugar, the challenges it causes for us. So you tax it, you know, to such an extent that one is, you know, it makes it prohibitive. People would not want to get there. And then you take the tax revenues to then try and resolve
the problems.
The problem that it creates. So why do you then treat the telecommunication industry as a sin industry? The reason being that when we did our total tax report for 2022, so let me start from 2021. For every 1 cedi that comes into the industry, 47 pesos goes back to government as taxes, levies, fees, and charges. How do you do that to an industry that you really think that should drive development? Again, in 2022, the 2023 data that we did, looking at 2022 data, it reduced to 46 pesos. That is a sin, you know, that is sacrilegious, and that's what we're doing in this country, you know. So then we don't offer enough physical space for a lot more investment, spreading the technology to where we go. Let me give you another example. You know, MTN bought their 2x10 4G license for $60 million. Once you do that, you know, and they buy that, how much money will be left for them to invest? Then come in, so that's during the NDC time. Then come in the MPP time as well. Vodafone then bought the 2x5 at $30 million. Again, you know, when you do that, what then you do is that you strangulate the industry and prevent them to rather invest in areas that will drive growth. So it's important for all of us to see the industry as that industry that will drive it. People think, they look at the telecom industry and they think, there's a lot of money.
They make so much money.
But look at the industry. How many of them are making profit? How many of the industry are making profit now? Currently, it's only one of the players. This is an industry in which two operators who are in the same strategic group fighting each other would then merge, Airtel and Tigo. You know, the reason being that they wanted to create more efficiency and all of that. It's an industry that, you know, that merger, for example, was sold back to government as $1. You think it was profitable, the owners of it will sell it as $1. This is an industry where the local entities, the BWAs, that were given licenses to operate 4G service have all gone down. So it just tells you that, because you see, this is an industry over the past decade, it has invested $13 billion in capex alone. So it's an industry that requires a lot of cash. So when you want to treat it, you need to do things that would ensure innovation, ensure investment, but government also needs to be able to benefit from it. But how do we do it in such a way that you don't put the cart before the horse?
That's what is happening now.
Oh, definitely. That's what has been happening for a very, very long time. It's the reason why the industry is as distressed as it is. Why would we not be like some of the Scandinavian countries? Licenses are given to you virtually almost for free. And then what you are supposed to do is that you make sure that the coverage is in the whole country. You go into China, for example, when they're doing this 5G, their top 3 or 4 operators have been giving the spectrum for free. And then so they pay as they go along. But for Ghana, you front load, you know, the cost, and so that it becomes difficult for investment to expand the service. So you sit in a country where currently the industry is done so well. Connectivity and coverage is over 90%. but our coverage gap is over 60%. So there are people still living under the coverage, but are not connected. And some of the reasons being the cost of devices, and partly because of the taxes that are on devices. This is this is an industry that has a lot of industry specific taxes. If you brought $1 million into this economy and you wanted two industries to invest in, let's take one industry being broadcasting, for example. So you put $1 million in broadcasting, and you put $1 million in telecommunication. For telecommunication, you'll be charged, your customers will be charged CST. But when you come into broadcasting, there's no charge unless you're doing pay TV. And I understand that GRA is contemplating CST for free-to-air broadcasters. But for you as free-to-air broadcasters, the people listening to Zed FM today, do they pay you for listening? No,
they don't.
So exactly. So I'm not too sure where GRA is coming from. Wanting to apply CST again, because for your advertising revenue, you pay all the VATs and everything on that. So that's where your revenue comes from. It comes from advertising. Exactly. But it does not come. So if it is pay radio, pay TV, yes, then as they pay to consume, then you can say the consumer, the CST.
But practically, how are they going to enforce something like that?
I'm not too sure how they would do that, and I think it will completely be flawed. If you look at the unfortunate thing is that sometimes by the time you see it, somebody would take a piece of legislation to Parliament, and I'm not sure that all the time our parliamentarians do a good job really looking at it. And thank God that for this Parliament, God gave us, almost a split Parliament, so things has been a bit more, more scrutinized. Because otherwise, in the past, all that would, because of the nature of the governance system that we rule, where Parliament is subservient to the executive, you will find out that they will just railroad that. And I hope that does not happen.
I hope so too, because practically it might be very problematic for them. Over the past decade, what has been the key achievements and milestones for the chamber?
So I think that basically what has happened is the fact that we have been able to come together to work together, first to shape policy, to shape regulation. So we've had very good relations with the ministries of communications. We've had very good relationships with the NCA. We've had good relationships with the Bank of Ghana, with GRA, with the EPA, with various regulators. And so we've been able to mold the industry and guide the way policy is being able to go. There are a lot of the policies that come up that have the contributions of the chamber in it. Some of the recent ones, you take the CSA law, for example, we did some good contributions to that. The Minister for Communication and Digitalization has just gazetted the tower guidelines, for example, that went through extensive work that we did with the regulator and various other stakeholders. You take the payment systems law, for example, that was passed by Bank of Ghana. A lot of contribution has also come in from the chamber. If you e-levy with all its challenges that it had, had to take the chamber working together with the Ghana Bankers Association to engage the ministry, and then we were able to get it to where it was from the 1.5 now to 1, and even got some of the exemptions that were introduced in it, so that the damage has been limited. So there's been a lot of these things that have happened, conversation about even the withdrawal of taxes on devices, conversation currently working together with other players to deal with the challenges within the right of way, damage to utilities, water, electricity, telecom infrastructure, even to the roads. So that is some work we've been doing, though it's still a major issue. For example, last year we spent over $6 million fixing fiber cuts that had resulted from road construction, drain construction, private people digging and damaging fiber, which then becomes expensive. So these are things that we do on a regular basis. And so I would say that if you want to talk about milestones and achievements, it has been how the industry has been able to work together with various stakeholders to push particular agendas. Another example you would want to talk about when the country was at its knees, for example, during COVID, the chamber rallied members together, working together with the Minister for Communication and Digitalization, the NCA, to be able to provide zero-rated services for some public service workers, for some academic websites. So all of these things we've been able to do with the support of other players as well.
Okay. So it's just past 8:21, and we're talking to Dr. Engineer Kenneth Eshigbe. He's the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telcos. Let me find out from you. Although we know it's a chamber and there are players in it, has it ever happened that the SMP status of one of them has become a challenge within the chamber? I mean, I don't want to mention the name, but this SMP significant market thing, we need to discuss it. Is the significant market power of one of your players ever a challenge within the chamber?
That's why I say it's an industry that you don't have too many members. The chamber itself has 9 members. If you take the MNOs, you have only 3 members. But the competition is so severe and intense. And one of the principles that we operate within the chamber is that we don't cartel. So we don't discuss issues of pricing and all of that. Commercial issues are not discussed at the chamber. So definitely the issue of the SMP, it's a major concern for some of the members, or all of the members.
Yes.
One of them on one side, and 2 of them on the other side. Recently, there was a meeting that the NCA called to discuss tariffs, regime and all of that. So you go in there and it's very combative.
It will be.
The only one of the things I wish was, and I've always said it to all my members, I wish we had discussed the issue of the structure of the industry at the chamber level and found ways among the players of how to resolve it, rather than letting the regulator come into it. But it's a difficult. One of my biggest jobs is not even my engagement with the external parties, but it's trying to pull the teams together. Because you see, everybody has their commercial interests, and fundamentally that's their first thing, and so that comes in, and so you need to find ways of bringing everybody together to be able to discuss it. So it's a very competitive industry, and you find that at play, and so
should government come in to help curtail the SMP of one of these your big players?
It's government that is handling the whole issue of the SMP. And again, because it is, and one of the things that we do as a chamber is also that we deal with issues of consensus. So if the thing is there's no consensus, we don't handle it. Wow. We don't deal with it, So I really wish we could. And again, so I will look at it as a structure of the industry. Where not government again is third party. I wish amongst members, but because so there are some commercial things in nature we cannot discuss. But in terms of the general structure of the economy, I hope that the market forces will be able to deal with it than an imposition on it.
I get that, but I can also see where you're coming from, where you are the headmaster sitting up there looking at your colleagues and this guy's always getting 100%. Why would we like him?
So again, I'm stopped from discussing some of these commercial considerations just by, and it's in the interest of you and I as consumers, because once we allow some of these commercial conversations to happen at the chamber, what then happens will result in cartelling. And you don't want cartelling to happen. You want the competition to happen. But as the competition happens, you are hoping that it will result in quality service. It would result in cheaper costs, of operation for all of us.
Is it because the player with the SMP has invested a lot more than others? Is that it? Because that came up in the recent discussion that they've put in more, so why shouldn't they get more?
So again, you see, so if you want to discuss this, if I were wearing a different hat and I was going to wear my engineering and my finance hat, we could go into discussing it, but respecting the nuances of our industry, I would sees.
I'll go there again. I'll go in that direction again. But within the chamber, are there ways in which you promote competition and fair pricing?
Yeah. So again, so the thing about it is that we ensure that one of the things we do to ensure fair pricing is to try and reduce the costs.
Okay.
So we look more at the cost side of things and let them do their pricing, let competition impact the pricing so that the consumer benefits. But the basic things are the issues of cost. So how much taxation is coming? Because once you bring a CST in, and then if even they wanted to charge 2 cedis, the CST will come on it, it will raise prices.
Yeah.
If you, so you have, SIM registration coming in and the cost of providing that service becomes too much, or the cost of verification using the NIA is too much, that becomes an extra cost. If you have fiber cuts that are happening and then resulting in the telco spending a lot of money, that results in extra cost. If you have spectrum being sold at 60 million for 2x10 or 30 million by 2x5, that results. So our conversation focuses on how do we become a lot more efficient? How do we reduce the waste in the system based on all that happens? And so that once you push for that, you then would see that because they all want to get the largest market share, they would then push those benefits to consumers.
You will being an engineer, you feel at home sitting in the chair. What are the technological advances coming up? 4G, 5G, what I mean, that excites you as an engineer and for Ghanaian consumers?
I think we are one of the best times of civilization. The pace at which change is happening. So, we started talking about 5G. Unfortunately, we've slowed down a bit. We had plans long ago. We've allowed the likes of Cote d'Ivoire and all of that to take advantage of us. And they've launched 5G. We've heard the minister talk about the fact that 5G is going to come. We're trying to engage her to understand a bit more. But there's conversation about 6G already. The latencies of even satellite is now reduced in such a way that satellites, in the low orbitals are now also being able to offer good broadband. You have the issues of IoT, so the Internet of Things in connecting everything that is making changes. AI is there, and I'm also a student now. I'm a student of IT law, and I think that sometimes we are over glamorizing AI. I'm not too sure. It's been there for quite a long time. How do we use it? The only thing that for me is how do we get our people to become be training a lot more of these models so that we are not just consumers of it, but we're using it to solve our very particular problems, and in the process create new businesses. Big data is interesting. Augmented reality, mixed reality. There's a conversation that currently the chamber is having together with GSMA, the global chamber of telecommunication people, working together with a Singaporean group and then a hospital in Kumasi, and what they are thinking of what we're planning, and we are doing a POC very soon with all the telcos. They are going to use mixed reality. And 5G comes, they're going to develop it such that they will take flat CT scans and then be able to create a hologram out of it. And so that you could have doctors in Ghana here working with the doctors in Singapore. So there's the surgery. So now it is not something that they will do with robots, but they would work together. They will go into the patient. The two of them will go into the patient and then be able to direct the doctors. If we are able to perfect that act, working together with the doctors in Singapore and Kumasi, then what would happen is that the doctors in Kumasi can work together with, some chip compound somewhere in Asadame or in some rural area and be able to. And so those are the places that we're beginning to go to. Very recently, when we were celebrating the World Telecommunication Day at the NCA, they brought together some very interesting Ghanaians who were doing some interesting things. We also last week under the 3I Africa Summit that Bank of Ghana and DBG organized, MT40, the chamber organizes a conference called Mobile Technology for Development. And we also were discussing public digital infrastructure and some very interesting things that people are doing, Ghanaians are doing in AI and all of that. And you could see some of these things happening. If you see the things that are happening in the payment system. So technology is changing the way everything is done. And you know the interesting thing I say to people, that what happened on Pentecost Day, that the speaking in tongues that happened, technology is going to be lubricated very soon, because we're going to get to a point where I will be speaking Bagbadoga, you are speaking Ga, and you would immediately I speak the Bagba, you would automatically using the power of technology. And so for me it's really exciting times. In as much as we'll say that challenges with it, you know, we need to allow the innovations to happen whilst we try as much as possible to try and find ways in which we can do some husbandry and make sure we're protecting ourselves. But we are sitting at the point where, you know, a lot of the barriers that we have known will really be gone, you know, and I think that we need to be a lot more proactive, you know, supporting. Our regulation needs to change. Our policy, the policy paradigm where if I don't understand it, don't do it, more akin to what the Europeans would do, should give way to what the Americans would do. If there was no way you could have the likes of Google, Facebook start in Europe, because, you know, for them, if they don't understand it, they won't allow it to go. But the Americans are more liberal. They would allow it to go fledged, and then they will try find ways of control. And that's what we need to do, a lot more of that in Ghana. We need to change our policy, you know, paradigms, our regulation paradigms, to a lot more of the allowing things. So a good example is Bank of Ghana, for example. You have a regulator that will create a sandbox that would allow players to come in and innovate, test things. We need to see a lot more of our regulators create that kind of environment so we can enable a lot more of the innovations that are going on. And I think I need to use your platform to commend the Bank of Ghana for the 3I. It was great. It was shocking. 3 great days of 3 days of. And you see, the interesting thing about it is that there's a regulator working together with the development bank, with the Levante, that were looking at not just a talk shop, but it was a talk shop and a workshop where we actually walked the talk. So you see deals being created in there, relationships being built. It was just great. And I think we'll commend the governor and the team at the FinTech office and DBG for a great job done.
It took me a while to realize that it was being organized by BUG.
Correct. You know, because because you know, normally you will not associate regulators. And again, for banks, you know, banks are more conservative. But again, you see, you need to give Bank of Ghana some plaudits.
Yeah.
You know, where they've been able to bring people from industry to come into the regulation. So people like Kwame, upon who came from, you know, industry and went into the bank. And so when they regulate, you know, they regulate with different ideas. When you deal with the governors, you know, Dr. Maxwell and, you know, the governor itself. And you see the way they want to allow you look at the issue of ECD and all of that. And that's the way to go. A lot more of that has to happen. And we need to do a lot more collaboration between players and regulators, academia, private sector, public sector coming together, and consumers, you know, bringing them all in to be able to craft the tomorrow we want using a lot of technology.
Consumer demand is rising. What are the challenges that are being faced by consumers in getting into this telco space and really having the full benefits that they can?
So I think, you see, if you look at, I was talking about the fact that we have the 60% usage gap. One of the biggest things for us is digital literacy. People's ability to be able to know the tools that are available and find ways they can use it to do, you know, to solve the problems for them. A lot of our people would just, even mobile money when it came, you know, we just use it to send and go, you know, we would use it to do a WhatsApp, to watch a video, but we forget that the tools we have are powerful. How do we get people to use these tools to better sell their product, to better teach their children, to better, you know, so we need to build that digital literacy thing. It's one of the major things that we need to do. Another major challenge we also have is that as an industry, you know, you are going into other markets where they are killing 3G. People are killing 3G. But for us, we still have a lot of basic and feature phones in our system. So people are still using 2G. And there's so much that you can do on the USSD, on the 2G platforms if you don't get onto the internet. And that's one of the biggest things that we need to do. So like for our country, for example, we need to copy from the examples of Rwanda. Rwanda got some money from the owners of Netflix. You know what they do? They did, instead of taking the money to say they are going to build something, they rather took the money and they are giving smart devices for free to their citizens, working together with one of the networks. So how do we ensure that we take out all the feature and the basic phones that are there, give people maybe basic smartphones that they can use to then move away from the USSD, come onto the digital platform so that they can do things. One of the challenges I give to our members, the technical people, is that we need, one of the challenges we have with mobile money is the fact that our people, so if you take my grandmother, for example, in Chame, if she has to work under the USSD platform. Exactly. So it means she needs to know a number. Mm-hmm. How is my grandmother, who 100 and something years, so if she has money, she knows there's money on the phone. She has to give it to somebody else. So what that does is that the privacy of her code, it's completely gone. There's an uncle of mine who, because he has challenges with the eyes. A little girl who has come to live with her, and this is somebody who's very learned. Then started exploiting the old man, forgetting that the old man will find other means. But if we could get to a point where I can take my phone, and
then boom.
Then I'll put my hand on it. To it, that instead of now typing something, all I do is I speak to the phone and the voice in my own language. So there's voice recognition, ties my voice to my face and to any of my biometrics, and it says it is me. Then I'm immediately able to then tell it how much money I want to withdraw or who I want to send the money to.
Wow.
So these are the things that we need to do so that our people can understand and be able to use the devices. We need to move away from where technology is all in English, technology is all in text, and using our local languages, using a lot more, and all of that can only be done when you move on to smart devices, when you move on to a minimum of 3G and all. And that's why you need to also commend the NCA. When the NCA allowed for the telcos for rural telephony to be able to use the spectrum that was supposed to do just 2G to also be able to offer 3G services as well. And so because of that, you then got an uptick. But we need to speed that up. And to be able to speed that up again, it goes to the consumer. What devices do the consumers have in hand? And then how are we also training? So for me, we need to find ways in which we introduce devices to the children in KG, in the education in KG, all the way up, so that they are able to do it and they learn it and they're able to use it to do interesting things, and help us transform our economies.
You would suggest a policy or an initiative that would get all 30-something million, I don't know how many we are now, get a smartphone into the hands of each and every one of them.
Completely, right? You see, the interesting thing is that the children that are being born today, they are digital natives. There's an experiment that was done in India where, they took it to a very remote village where they had not seen any device before. They put a device in the wall and they left it on. After a week, by the time they came, the children are operating it. So if you give a child which is a few months, give it a device, you start seeing it swiping and passing its hands on it and all. So if we can find a way of doing that, the only thing we need to do is that once we do that, the content, we have to regulate it. It is not for nothing that when you go to China, the TikTok that the Chinese, use completely different from what you and I use. So how do you, when you bring this technology in, how do you bring it in such a way that they use it for things that would, develop their intellect, use it for building things rather than just using it for other things. So it's not just about putting the technology in their hands, it's also the content that you're going to put in it, it's also the guidance that you're going to use it for, and how you tie it to their curriculum. One of the things that we are doing at the chamber, we called it Coding Caravan. And Coding Caravan, what we're doing is that we're taking coding to the doorsteps of pupils. So we started when we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. So we would go to a community working together with the Institute of IT Professionals Ghana, and we'll take like 100 laptops, go into the community from upper primary to JHS, bring the children in there, teach them Scratch, teach them 3D printing. So you start with a child that had not touched computer before. By the time you've left, the child is being able to develop a game. And so we believe we should do a lot more of this, so that we can move away the way we're teaching ICT now, which is paper-based, into learning by doing. So this week we're going to Mepe to go and do a similar thing, and then I think in June we're going to Begbese to go and do it for the girls in ICT. So that will be only for girls, and then afterwards we'll go to Mampong, go and do it for those visually impaired, and those who. So we believe we should be able to do more of that. Our plan was even to do an Accra to Paga, but we'll not be able to raise the resources to do that. But it is important that we get the children to experience, technology through doing, rather than just, and it was when we were doing this that we find out apparently Scratch was part of the syllabus of the children. But how are they going to learn that if the teachers themselves don't know it? So as we go to do the teaching, we're also teaching the children, the teachers as well. So that they can continue when you have left off.
The teacher of teachers kind
of
thing. Both parties that are most likely to, take over government in the next election are all talking digital Ghana. Where does the chamber sit in helping, regardless of who, to ensure that the digital Ghana agenda comes to pass?
So that's one of the things we have done, from the time of my predecessor to my time. We'll support government to be able to push at that agenda, because we believe that a digital Ghana is a prerequisite for development. So if you take, for example, the mobile money interoperability, for example, the chamber worked together with Gibbs under the auspices of the vice president to be able to get that done. So no matter who then becomes president, our telecommunication manifesto that we have shared with the two part, the NDC and the MPP, asking for an engagement with their flag bearers, and we've shared with all the other parties as well, has elements that we want to support government to drive the digital agenda. And that is a commitment that we make, that we will continue to do that no matter who is in power.
In that case, could you not use the importance of the digital agenda to get government to back down some of these taxes and all?
So one of the things that in the telecom manifesto that we've put in is the issue of the repeal of the e-levy. So and when we say all of those, we back it with research, we back it with the numbers. What the argument we make is that if you take e-levy off and you enable a lot more merchant payments, and already even in this particular state, because of the e-levy that was introduced and the exemption that was brought for agents and merchants, now government knows a lot more merchants and agents who were not initially not within the GRA's tax brackets. All of those people have been brought in. So if you do a lot more of that, and we are able to enable merchants, so that when you want to buy your wache, you want to take your taxi, you want to take your trotro, you go into a space and you touch something and you can pay, then all the payments that you then enable, it would reduce a lot of the cash payments, the darkness that is associated with cash, the cost that Bank of Ghana would have to spend in printing and minting, currencies, or that will be reduced. You will also be able to see where money is moving. So in terms of your monetary policy, your fiscal policy, you'll be able to track that. You would also be able to take out all the leakages, the theft that goes on. You will prevent, politicians who also pay, monies to people through cash. If you are limiting everybody, and we can all move to the point where we become either cash light or cashless, These are the things that would help transform our economy. And it's something that we are working with them, so definitely our engagement with them to say, how do you take up this industry-specific taxations like your CSTs and all of that? And then how do we all think together to find new ways in which we can raise the revenue? It's one of the things that I'm supporting the Minister for Communication and Digitalization when he talks about the fact that the OTTs, the likes of Facebook, the likes of Google and all of that are not in this market, but are doing business on the networks that have been built, should also contribute. There's some contributions they need to make in building these networks. There are some contributions they need to make to government revenue. I support the Minister of Communication and Digitalization to really push that agenda. And again, as she says, this is not something we can do together as a country. So we need to come together as Africa, as the AU, at Smart Africa level, working together with global groups like the GSMA to be able to push this agenda so that we can say to them that you cannot just sit out there and benefit from this market. Come into the market, make some representation here, make some payments here.
It's very important that agenda comes to pass.
No, it is very important.
What are we using our data to do?
That's all we're just making money for them, exactly. Yeah. So but when you do all of that, very little of the revenue. But we also have to say that GRA has begun, on the e-commerce side, trying to do some engagement. It's really the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Ghana is said to be an agro economy, and that we should concentrate on agri. How do you see the telco or technology generally playing a role in ensuring that we are heavy on agri?
No, I say to people that if I was given the opportunity of being president for 10 hours, all I would do, my focus would be on agri. Every facet would just be focused on agri. Even our technology should be focused on agri. And technology can do so much so far as agri is concerned. How do we ensure that we digitize the entire value chain? There was the tractor trot that had come in that was using technology so that you then did not have to get, the poor farmer to then go and invest capex in a tractor, but he can book the tractor like the way you book an Uber. How do we now? There's a lot of drone technology that can be used to even be able to tell in terms of the soil, the fertility of the soil, the issues of pests, the issues. You are able to use technology to better predict the rainfall and all of that. Better able to use technology in terms of the way you spray. So we need to find a way of even the agri infusing the technology in the production, then bringing technology in bringing linkages into the whole value chain, ensuring that when I plant, I know that there's a market here, you're able to do the linkages. So there's a lot that technology can do. The right technology in the research, in the planting, in preventing post-harvest losses, in the marketing of it, in the distribution of it. All of that can be done in such a way that there's no waste. How do you bring technology in place so that you want to make sure that this planting for food and jobs, the fertilizer and those inputs are actually going to the people who really need it? And then you are able to account for it and then make sure that when they get the fertilizers, you are able to even predict how much they would grow, be able to see the output of it, and then make sure that they repay for that. And, constantly there's a lot more transparency even in all that you do. So I believe technology can drive a lot of these things that we do.
We're told that small business is the way to go. SMEs, the engine of growth.
Yes.
How is technology?
You see, again, for me, that's one of the places, and one of the words I don't like is, and I like the fact that you said SME is the engine of growth, where we then tend to call them informal sector. They are they are informal sector to the Anglo-Saxons way of doing things. Go to India and see all their business, their growth in their business, their development have come from being able to work with their SMEs. So we've done that with mobile money. In the past, people could not give loans to some of these farmers because they say, their incomes are erratic. But we did not change the way they worked for them to be able to benefit from mobile money. We did not change the way they worked for them to be able to bank, for them to be able to get pension services. So we need to use technology to be able to collect data, even the unstructured data coming from the small scale, I call them the real sector. We will be able to use that, be able to understand the way they work and be able to apply technology innovation to them. And so this is one of the areas that we need to do a lot of investment into, so that our people, no matter where they are, will be able to take advantage of technology and be able to transform their businesses, be able to provide them cybersecurity support, be able to provide them banking service, pension services, be able to provide them, give them opportunity to take advantage of after. Where you aggregate them together, they are producing and they're able to sell to other people in other countries using the pubs, using the payment systems, so that I am sitting in Accra. If I'm selling to somebody in Dakar, I don't have to go through the dollar or the safer before I transfer it. It can go seamlessly from my CD to wherever it is that they have the Dalasi in Gambia and all of that. Technology will be the thing that would help us to be able to do that.
It's 10 to 9, and we're here with Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe. He is a Chief Executive of the Telcos Chamber. When we come back after a quick commercial break, I'm going to find out from him if he's head of Keep It On and Access Now, what he thinks of that. So we'll come back after this quick commercial break.
Hello CEOs, the 8th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo is set to take place on May 27, 2024 at the Kempinski Hotel from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Since 2016, the summit has led impactful business leadership. Renowned for satisfying CEOs' needs, it offers actionable perspectives, strategic insights, and business opportunities. This year's theme is reigniting business and economic growth, charting a path forward, economic diversification, and artificial intelligence transformation. The summit promises CEO business cases, high-level dialogues, masterclasses, keynotes, and plenaries. The event is also a platform for the Ghana CEO Excellence Awards, celebrating outstanding business leadership and innovation. Former distinguished guests include President Nana Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, and ex-President John Mahama. Secure your spot at GhanaCEOSummit.com and contact 0546-391-970 for enquiries and sponsorship. Powered by the Ghana CEO Network in collaboration with Deloitte, PwC, Ministry of Public Enterprises, GIPC. Terms and conditions apply.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Okay, so we're back, and we're talking to Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe. He's Chamber of Telcos chief servant. I got it right this time. Felicia Antonio happens to lead. She's a campaign manager at Access Now, and they are running a campaign called Keep It On. Keep It On is just to say that during elections, don't let the internet go off. And I asked her if she had cause to worry. And she said, in places where it didn't happen, it didn't look like it was going to happen, and then it happened. Should we be worried?
Well, you see, the thing about it, this is something that we've always had in mind for every elections. And so you find out that for all elections, we interestingly work with the regulator to make sure that, the networks are, there are no downtimes and all of that. And I think, speaking as somebody who is in there, I'm not too sure we're going to experience that, but we would work together as industry, work together with the regulator to ensure that we keep the network. It's a very important thing, and I think our credentials as a democratic country, I'm not too sure that the networks would go down when we're going to have the elections. That is not going to happen. So, but it's important that civil society also keeps their eyes on the ball. But again, I would want to allay her fears that it's good. That there's thought about that. It's something that we as an industry, we always keep in mind, and it's one of the credentials that this country has in terms of ensuring that the networks are up when these things are happening. And we know that the NCA is now even talking beyond redundancies to now resilience. So how do you build that resilience to ensure that all your networks are up, no matter what then tends to happen. And so we saw when those four submarine cables went down, unprecedented as it was. Over a short period of time, we were able to restore services and then took our time to repair the cables. And then I think on the 8th of May was when the last cable was completely fixed.
Are you worried about the power situation in this country?
Oh, completely. The power situation is a major challenge in multiple ways. And if you look into the Telecom Manifesto, it's one of the things that we do. We've been trying to engage the PURC. We've been engaging them over this. The cost of power is very high. The telecom sector It doesn't matter whether it's day or night. You need to keep the network on. It doesn't matter whether there are people or making calls or using data. You have to keep, and so the cost is high. But not only that, because of the nature of our loads and because of the way our tariffs are structured, you find out that all about 90-something% of our sales side fall into the highest tariff bracket. So we've been advocating for the NCA to give, the PRC to offer us that. Because now telecommunication has become a utility and a human right, the same way they will treat, the smelting companies, they will treat the mines and give them some preferential tariffs. We are asking that they normalize the cost of, for telecommunication. That would then bring some savings to the tower companies. That should be passed on to the mobile operators and then be passed on to consumers. So that's an important thing. Another part of it is, we're trying to also go green so that we bring a lot of sustainability into our operations. So there's a lot of green technology going on. But unfortunately, when you bring the panels, they are duty free. But when you bring the inverters, when you bring the batteries, the taxes that are on it are very high. So if you really want to improve the issue of power, then that's something that we look at. And then you also find a situation where, in some of the areas that you will go to really extend telecommunication service, most of the time there might be no power that is there. So you would invest a lot of money, maybe into the 11 kV stretch, some number of kilometers, and immediately, you power the ECG powers that up for you. That becomes yes, and
the community uses it.
But fortunately, the PRC and I think they are working on a policy where there will be some capital gains that will be realized, so that once you also invest into their network, you get some benefit. That's also some positive thing that's happening. We're hoping that would work quickly. The issue of net metering that is happening, so that if I brought some solar in and I was generating excess more than I can consume, I can inject that back into the system, and then ECG will give me some, Netco would give me some credit for that. That also needs to happen. So the availability of power generally is also important, because if you go into any community where there's no power, it then becomes very difficult for the people in the community to then be able to use the technology, even if it's available.
The educational system, the curriculum, is it set up in such a way that this dream of yours of Ghana becoming digitally savvy, would it happen with the current educational curriculum?
We are seeing the STEM beginning to happen, but there's a lot of things that we need to do. That's why I was talking to you about the fact that you cannot continue to teach children ICT only on paper, where you want to tell them how do you open Word, they have to tell you click this, click that. They need to be doing it. So that is one of the fundamental things that ought to change. And so it's based on that we are doing the coding caravan. So that we are creating the awareness. We're showing people how it ought to be done. If you just saw how we went to Chame, for example, or you went to Chimda, we went to all of those places, and you see the children from the point they start with. And this is over just maybe 3-4 hours. And what they are able to do. If you got the opportunity where the children were learning ICT through doing, and then you gave them the opportunity to say, what are the problems that are in your community? How do you use this to be able to solve it? Help them build codes, help them be able to resolve problems. That is the only way we'll be able to develop. When we start allowing them to use technology to solve the problems that are confronting them. And not, and so unfortunately our educational system have been structured such that it is so grammar based that, if you are not able, and a lot of chew, pour and pass. But if they are learning through doing, they don't need to chew and pour anything. They've done the thing, they know how to do it. If you look at the way, even our artisans, you go to places like Swami and things, the way our people are able to do. If you gave them tools, and you give them the skills and all of that, they will build better things that the people in China and all of that are building. Because even with the absence of that, look at what we do in places like go to Kokompe and all of that. So if you are able to provide them the tools, I remember when we were in tech, there were some doctors that have come. I think they were doing some exchange program that come from Germany. And when they see our doctors be able to hold people, touch them, and be able to tell what is actually wrong with them, and by the time they will go and do the labs and all of that is the same, they're surprised. But if you can bring tools in place in such such a way that as the doctor is sitting there, there's technology that allows him to see in. You would see that will even be better. So once we can bring the technology into our educational system, there is a lot of improvement that is going to happen, and it will change our mindset. Even our politics will change. Get a lot more. I'm saying we're getting to the point where very soon we'll not need a parliament again. We'll not need 270 or 260 people taking decisions for us. We can get to a point where, when it comes to decision taking, all of us, the information will come. We'll all look at it on our
vote.
Not even our phone, maybe in our palms, and they will say, no, this is what we should go, and then we'll all be able to take a decision and we'll go for it. So this is how we need to embrace technology and make sure that it permeates within everything that we do and help, transform our country.
Strategic priorities for the chamber in the next few years. What are you looking at?
So basically trying to push, support the change that is going. So we are moving. I'm sure very soon the chamber will not be the chamber of telecommunication again. We'll move away from just being telecommunication to being more technology, to being more platform.
Okay.
So how do we drive that? How do we support government, the policy makers and all of that to try and change the paradigm within our industry, so that we can grow faster than we are growing? Those are the things we would want to do. Definitely grow the EMI chamber, because that's also another area. How do we also support in changing our regulatory and policy framework that we work? The way now we are regulated, different regulators, sometimes even the synergies among regulations is not happening. How do we drive that? And then how do we make sure that we are at the forefront in supporting customers, in supporting government, in supporting academia, in driving this whole Ghana becoming a first-class economy through the use of technology?
I'll beat myself if I don't ask this question because of my bias. Service quality and customer satisfaction.
Yes.
What has the chamber done, or what is the chamber doing to ensure that the quality of service?
It's a very important part of what we do, and so it's one of the things that we look at, but we do it on an industry part, where we try and make sure that everybody who signs on to being part of the chamber, you need to meet some minimum standards. So it's not everybody in the ecosystem who is part of the industry. And so fortunately for us, technology is also helping us to push the service quality agenda, the use of AI, the use of the bots and all of that, so that you can use that in improving the quality of what we do. How do we ensure that even in terms of using technology, most of these bots and AIs can understand our people in our local languages? Because most of the time the tendency is that even our accents, sometimes, see it is Charlie, when I speak my kind of English, they might not. So how do we also push our members to train these bots, train this AI, so that they can understand, so that again, when my uncle calls from Savlugu and is speaking his local language, they can understand it, so that if there's a problem to be solved, the problem can be solved, and so that we can improve the service quality. So for us as an industry, we need to agree that there's some work that we need to do. Fortunately, we have technology, and there's a lot of technology being used to try and fix all of those challenges.
Thank you very much. Any final words from the chamber?
Well, I think one of the things we want to say to everybody is that, when you talk about quality of service, one of the things that is linked to that is fiber cards. When we're spending about 6-something million, fixing fiber cards, when the road's being done and the fiber is being cut, when somebody is doing, know that once you are cutting that fiber, the quality of service coming to you itself will deteriorate. So we all need to work together to make sure that we can do that. The protection of telecommunication infrastructure is a shared responsibility for all of us. When people go into a cell site, go and steal fuel in the cell site, go and cut the cables there, that cell site will go down. Your ability to be able to make a call, an emergency, would be affected. So let's all find ways in which we can protect our telecommunication infrastructure. And finally, again, to our policy makers, to the political parties that would want to also rule our country, we're telling them again, that I say to you, that the telecommunication service is not a cash cow. It is rather the workhorse that will drag other people. So they need to create that physical space for us. They need to bring enabling policy and regulation that would be able to help drive this economy, but not strangulate it.
The telecommunications sector is not to be used as a cash cow, but rather as a workhorse. So says Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Thank you so much, sir, for spending time with us this morning. It's a great honor to have you in our studio.
Thank you very much. I loved it.
Thank you so much, and have a great day, sir.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beijing, a 360 multimedia firm has emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Zed TV and the innovative realms of Zed Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the New Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beijing, a 360 multimedia firm has emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Zed TV and the innovative realms of Zed Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the New Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
Lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Money. It's Business Briefs right here on Zed in the Morning. Do you know the end result or benefit of your offering? The whole of last week, we've been talking marketing, and today as well, we want to continue the marketing conversation. You remember yesterday, we asked, do you know your probable purchaser? Today, we are asking, do you know the end result or benefit of your offering? Marketing is most effective when it focuses on the desired end result, which is usually a distinctive experience or emotion related to a core human drive. Did you get that? Never step out to market if you are not clear as to what the desired end result is. You want to go into the desired end result, and that is what you use to market, because that desired end result or the benefit the customer will accrue, that is what is going to draw the customer emotionally into the product. The actual function of the purchase is important, but it's the end result that really matters. That's why we say the person is not buying a bottle of water, the person is buying a thirst quenching opportunity. The person is not buying an air conditioner, the person is buying an atmosphere changing facility. So that is the way you should look at it. The common one is, they said, nobody buys drills, we buy holes. Did you get that? Nobody buys drills, we buy holes. And so when you are selling a drill, sell the hole that the drill will make, not the drill in itself. It's often far more comfortable to focus on the features. Of course, that's easy. But what you need to do is to focus on the benefits. The end result is what matters most. By focusing on the end result, you are homing in on what will cause your prospect to conclude and say, this is for me. So don't forget that it is the hole you are selling, not a drill. That is for it on Business Briefs right here on Zed in the Morning. Hope you enjoyed it. We're coming back with health and wellness, and the doctor is here. The big doctor is here. We'll have a great conversation. You're going to love it. We're going to talk mental health so that we disabuse the minds of a lot of folks who think that everything mental health has to go to the asylum. That's the question that we'll be putting to our mental health aspect. Dr. Collins Bedu-Ajiman is the president of the Ghana Psychological Association. He's in the studio. When we come back, we're talking how to take care of our mental health.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Okay, so we're back, and it's Health and Wellness Tuesday. This interview will delve into practical ways individuals can take care of their mental health. And mental health is a vital component of overall well-being, yet it often doesn't receive the attention it deserves. Today, we would explore strategies for maintaining mental health, the impact of mental health on maternal health, and the importance of seeking professional help when needed. This conversation would aim to provide listeners with valuable insights and actionable tips to enhance their mental well-being and support those around them that might be suffering from mental health challenges. And to help us do that, we have Dr. Collins Bedu-Ajiman. He is the president of the Ghana Psychological Association. He's in the studios with us. Good morning, good doctor.
Good morning, Jerry. How are you doing?
As always, that's my life.
Good.
Yeah, that's what you saw this morning. I hope you're well.
I am very well. And how are you two this morning?
Running up and down every morning. That's what happens. Mental health, what is it?
Well, I mean, whenever we talk of mental health, it looks as if a lot of people are afraid.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I'm sitting in front of you and you are not afraid.
No, I didn't say I wasn't afraid.
I am sure.
Yes.
By asking me the first question leading to the next, I'm confident you are not afraid. Now, mental health, as humans, we all have mental health.
Okay.
And so in Ghana, if you have over 32 million Ghanaians, we all individually have mental health. And by mental health, my ability to think, my ability to feel, my ability to behave in a way that supports how I want to live, that constitutes mental health.
Oh, okay.
And so, if you are an individual, are you able to think about matters? Are you able to feel a particular way? Are you able to behave a particular way? So that is the triangle we need to keep in mind.
Think,
whenever
feel,
and behave. So it's a triangle, and every human must go through this triangle. So long as you can go through this triangle and support how you want to live, how you want to function, then we say you have mental health. Now, mental health could be good. It could also be poor. So at this point, because we are teaching, you can think of when we were young, drawing a number line. If you draw a number line, there are two arrows, one pointing to the left, one pointing to the right. In the middle, often what number do we have?
0.
So let's put the 0 there. Now the 0 there is all of us humans. And so our mental health is at the point of 0. We all have it. Now to the positive, our mental health could be positive depending on the support that we give our mental health. The kinds of things we do to support developing that positive mental health or the good mental health. In that case, we move from 0, begin to move to +1, +2, +3, and it keeps going. It means we can feed it so that we will consistently have that positive mental health. On the other hand, our mental health can be negative. In that case, we move the opposite direction. So how we normally think, how we normally behave, how we normally feel, perhaps it is affected in one way or the other. So I move toward the negative. Now, this is where I need to explain. All of us humans, at some point in our lives, navigate between moving into the negative and then coming back to the 0 and moving into the positive. It happens to all of us. So what have we said so far?
Doc, are you saying that at one point or the other, every one of us would have gone negative in terms of mental health, yes, and come back to our 0 and then maybe go back to a positive?
Let me put it this way. As an adult Ghanaian, we all at one point in time have had a negative or a poor mental health and a good mental health.
Doc, let me come back again. As an adult Ghanaian,
yes,
all of us at one time or the other have had mental problems and we have come back to normal.
Okay, so I want to build up my explanation. Now we are talking about mental health.
Okay.
And I will differentiate it from mental illness or mental disorders. What many of us think mental problems. So I want to differentiate it. So the point I'm making is we all have mental health as humans.
That's a 0.
That is the point. In our mental health, we can grow it positive direction of the number line. And our mental health could also be negative. That is the negative direction of the number line, that continuum. Now, how do we develop that negative mental health?
That is where I'm interested.
So, question, Jerry, have you lost a loved one before?
Of course.
How did you feel?
Terrible.
Terrible. Is it possible for a day or two you felt like not eating?
Of course.
So you see, a number of thoughts may have crossed your mind. So at this point, we mentioned we all have mental health in that we think, we feel, we behave.
Okay.
You realize that you begin to think, how can he die? What has he done wrong? We were here together yesterday. You keep reflecting. Your thinking is now getting affected. And this affects how you feel, even about life in general. Then this begins to affect how you behave, your eating pattern. At this point, if you were at 0, which is the normal state of mental health, you are moving toward the direction of negative.
-1.
You may not have eaten for a day or two. you feel like going nowhere, you feel like being alone, being quiet. At that moment, your mental health has moved from seemingly good or neutral position to a negative position. If you stay there momentarily because of the events, because of the sad thing that has happened to you, being hit, being rocked because of an incident, that may be normal. And we all go through that. I fail an exam as a student. I feel sad if I look at the effort I put in and I feel like giving up. You move toward the direction of the negative. Students go through this. In marriage, people feel disappointed out of one issue or the other, and begins to affect how they are thinking about even they themselves, and how they feel about their partners, and how they may want to behave. It moves away from ordinarily how they would have done.
So broken heart could send you into the negative side of the mental health.
Exactly, because we have a number of cases. So the point we are making is we all humans have mental health. So the next time we hear mental health, we don't want to have some pictures in mind because we all have it. So that is the first clarification. Now at this point, I know you are yearning to hear what then is mental illness or mental disorders, what many of you call mental problems.
Yes.
Now, given the explanation of the number line, I move to the negative. Now, I move to the negative because I lost a loved one. I am not eating. I want to be alone. If it is the first few days and the person begins to come back to the zero, that is normal. But this one, consistently, the person is alone, the person is not eating well, not taking care of his body well, simply because of what just happened, then it's deepening. So if it was in -1, as the day goes by, as the weeks goes by, it is moving to -2, -3, -4. It keeps going. Then consistently, we are experiencing a very difficult recovery. And the person stays there for a consistent period of time, a reasonable period of time. If a diagnosing mental health professional realizes that no, this is not okay, and consistently is showing up, it is up to the diagnosing mental health practitioner now begin to suspect that indeed you are developing mental what? Illness or disorder. So that is a consistency of that negative thinking, feeling, and behavior, such that your thinking, your feeling, and behavior is no longer within the parameters of what the average human does. At that point, then we suspect you are developing mental illness or mental disorders, of which we have different categories or types that we can discuss as the time move on.
So on a daily basis, what are some of the things that as an individual I can do to ensure that at most, if I don't go to the plus, I'll still stay on my zero, or even if I go into the negative, I won't even get to -1, I'll come back to my zero. What are the practical strategies that we can use to take care of our mental health on a daily basis?
A number of things that we all can do. I will summarize it by talking about 3 things. The foremost one is self-care. The second one is support. And in extreme cases, where people develop mental illness or mental disorders, what many refer to as mental problems, or when you realize, no, my thinking, my feeling, my behavior is not the way it is. Or if I'm listening to Z Media and now I'm beginning to understand that, look, the behavior pattern, the feeling pattern, and the thinking pattern of this my family member, I am a teacher, this is my student, I am an HR manager. I'm a manager, supervisor. This is my worker. I am the manager for this particular media house. This my reporter. This my journalist. After reporting on this particular death news and accident, the person is not thinking, feeling, and behaving well. Then I can take steps. In this situation, and then you are overly affected, treatment also comes in. So I have mentioned 3 key things: self-care, support,
and in extreme cases, treatment.
These are the 3 key things that I will want to highlight.
Let's touch on self-care.
Yes.
When you say self-care, what do I do?
Your question was about practical ways we can ensure that we continue moving from the zero state of our mental health and keep increasing and making it more positive. Now, let me say that when we talk of self-care, the me factor, I also matter. Just that simple question that every individual need to ask.
I also matter.
I also matter. Sometimes we care so much about others, but we fail to prioritize ourselves. There are a number of things individually. As at now, I don't know where you are seated listening to Zed Media. Whether you are driving, whether you are seated under a tree, whether you are working, whether you are in your office, wherever you are, the me factor, I also matter, reflect your readiness to adopt strategies that will promote your own self-care. And what are some of the things that we can do? When was the last time, Jerry, you pampered yourself?
Hey, pampered.
When was the last time you took a backstage to reflect, how am I doing? When was the last time you took a stock about your daily routines and whether it's having any impact on you, your health, as well as your relationship with others? As families, when was the last time we created time for ourselves? I remember I visited a particular hospital and I noted for the 2 hours I stayed there was a young boy, about 8-9 years. The boy was holding a tablet. For the 2 hours I was there, this little boy had lost the environment around him. It was all the tablet. At a point, he would lie on the small couch, tilt the tablet in a sleeping position, still on the tablet. He will sit. He changed positions 8 times. 2 hours still on the tablet. Technology can even take away the me factor, even in families. So as families, when was the last time we created time for ourselves to just take a break, reflect on nature, rest our body so that we can recharge our batteries? By self-care, it's not about how rich or poor I am, but that's what I call strategic intentionality, that I matter in promoting my own health. That is what self-care means. What you do to promote your self-care may not require money. It may require proper planning. It may require giving yourself attention. It may require letting certain things go so you'll be able to care well for yourself.
Wow.
There are countless examples, if time will allow, we can cite regarding self-care. For instance, Jerry, when was the last time you decided to have shiatsu, Japanese massage?
Never had it before.
Never had it before. Mrs., you've heard it. So that is a very simple thing that you can do. I remember engaging some colleagues and I mentioned even having a very long bath, warm bath, also contributes to your well-being. And that could also be part of the self-care. We are so busy that I am leaving in 5 minutes time and the mom or dad is now going to the bathroom. Within 5 minutes, we finish bathing. Even when it comes to simple things like bathing, that also support our health and well-being, we rush through it. So how would you have that long, warm bath? I said this and somebody said, not when you live in Ashalibuchi, simply because you don't even have the water and you are thinking of a long and a warm bath, you know. But the point is, these are things that are readily available at our disposal. I am sure at another opportunity we can decide to talk about, say, just sleep. We can engage for about an hour or two just on sleep, and how even sleep is the best medicine and one of the finest self-care we all can have in order to promote a positive mental health. For instance, many of us have heard that they say we need an average of 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And let me put on record, the 6 to 8 hours of sleep is not about intermittent sleeping. I've slept 2 hours in the morning, I slept 2 hours in the afternoon. No. The sleep cycles, we have 4 phases of sleep. Each phase takes about 90 minutes. So 9 times 4 gives you what?
Hey, this thing you're saying, you're talking to me personally.
Well.
That's 36.
Yes. And so if you look at 36, 90 minutes, now we have 60 minutes in each hour. And that gives you that average of 6 to 8. Now this is what is in it. If you do not get a complete cycle for each of the 4, the worn out tissues in your body, as we get up, we lift a hand. I am talking, my jaws are moving, my esophagus, the pharynx, all of them are moving together. And that is what is generating this sound. And then whoever is watching us or listening to us can hear us. The tissues in my body are getting tired. They are getting worn out. Sleep is the opportunity for all these worn out, tired, let me put it in this way, injured tissues, within the 4 phases of each cycle, 90 minutes, that is the only opportunity all the worn out tissues will repair themselves so that by the next day, you are optimally ready for another day's activity. And so just sleep. And so if Jerry decides that, no, instead of 6-8 hours, I'll keep it to 4. It means day 1, you have 2 hours arrears. Day 2, 2 hours arrears. If this continues, your worn out tissues have arrears. If you have a good body, you begin to fall sick, you go to the hospital and the doctor says, lie down 3 days. Sometimes it's not the medication they give you or the injection alone that makes you feel well. Some of the injections put you to sleep. And by getting that quality sleep, the body will now begin to finish repairing all the arrears and get better. In some cases, if your body is not friendly, you have underlying health conditions and others, it can kick you and attack you in the form of a heart attack or anything. And then perhaps you may not be able to survive because the worn out tissues are too many that your body is no longer responding.
Doc, you would have to come back for us to have the discussion only on sleep, because this one you're talking to me personally and it's touching me, because I don't think I do even 4 hours. I think the most I'm doing is like 3.5. We're talking to Dr. Collins Bedu-Ajiman, who is the president of the Ghana Psychological Association. It's just a few minutes past 9:30, and we want to also go into stress.
All right.
Stress management. How does stress cause to mental health challenges, and how can we manage stress effectively?
All right. So, Jerry, I hope you are noting all the questions. We only discuss small about self-care.
Yes, we've not even gone to support.
We've not gone to treatment. But, I mean, I'm sure as a starting point in having a conversation on mental health.
Next week you should come.
All right, let's see how it goes. Yeah, so stress is one of the common mental health challenges that all of us go through. From young children to adolescents, early adults, older adults, and the senior citizens, we all go through stress. Now, what is stress? Simply put, when our resources are way below the demands on us, then there is a stressful situation. This is the simplest way I can put it. Whenever our resources are far below the demands, and most of the demands, we may see them as very important, very urgent, they are must-do demands, then we are in a stressful situation. Let me cite a practical example. I am a police officer. I am a sergeant. My salary is 2 cedis. I have 3 children. I want all these 3 children to go to school A and B, who charges in dollars. And per the dollar amount, one child's fee alone is the 2 cedis I take as a monthly salary. And I have 3, meaning I have a deficit of 4 cedis. What you yourself as a father, your wife, if you have aged parents, your bills, all of these, you have a vehicle, fuel have not come. What are you doing? Your resources are far less than the demands on you. You will always be stressed. Let me talk about I am a teacher. And as a teacher, I am a principal superintendent. My salary, everyone knows. And I want to build a house for myself, for my future. What kind of house? 5-bedroom house, each with toilet and bath. And I ask people, is it a guest house? The stress you will go through because your resources are far below the demands on you. You may never finish. And if you want to finish, then we should understand why we have corruption in Ghana. So when the resources of people are far below the demands, some of the demands are self-imposed, such that we want to be who we are not. And I think that is one of the things that we need to look at. There are some level of stresses that we all go through because we are engaged in one way or the other. If you are working in the banking sector, and I pity all my friends and my dear ones who work in the financial sector, given where we find ourselves for the past few years, a very small market, we've had turbulent times, and a number of commercial banks operating within the same small space. And managers, I remember one of my friend MDs, he will always say, we need to keep accelerating. You know, Dr. Adima, we need to keep accelerating. Every bank would have to keep accelerating. We need a deposit, we need a deposit, we need a deposit. Now, this, we need a deposit, challenges every staff to meet a particular target. And the target meeting is not easy. The metrics are always open. Maybe every Monday to check your performance the previous week. If it is not open every Monday, in the banking sector, they call it the WAR engagement. WAR means weekly activity report. And the engagement meeting is like war. And so many bankers do not like Mondays. If it is monthly performance review, it is a day no financial sector worker likes. These things present challenges.
I'm beginning to suspect that Mr. Alex Mensah set me up on this very interview because I did 10 years in banking. I'm sure Mr. Alex Mensah has a hand behind this because it's like he's talking to me here as well. You don't want to miss those meetings.
Yes.
Secondly, in such meeting, because your colleagues are also there, that's where the stress is. Which is why if it's a MAR, you are calling your colleagues the week before and literally begging, Charlie, don't you have some 100,000 that I can put in there?
Exactly. And that is how the situation is. We can't talk about the varying nature of stresses on different gender. So if I am an SME banker, if I am a marketer for that bank and I'm a female, the clock is ticking. I have 2 days, I must get this amount, otherwise I'm doomed. What kinds of engagement activities do some of these staffs engage in? So in talking about stress, we all go through stress in one way or the other. Parents are going through stress. If you live in, say, Oibi, Kaswa, traffic alone, you know, I have a particular presentation when I do, I caption it Ghana-based stresses. And a number of them I list. These are context-specific stresses. And one of them is traffic. You need to move from Kaswa Opekuma to Accra to work. When do you leave?
4 o'clock.
If you have children, what time do these children get up?
Like 3:30.
3:30. Can you imagine the recent challenges we had on the Kaswa Road? If your children are schooling in Accra, what time did they get home?
Like 2 a.m.
So the mental health of children begin to be affected. Go to countries like Finland and co. They are known to be the best in terms of benchmarks of education. How many hours do they spend? Do they write a so-called exam where the first worry? They don't do these things. And so children who are schooling are going through stress. We are in East Legon area, and you see the number of schools, and every morning parents are driving like mad ones chasing nothing. All because of the self-created stress that we build around ourselves. I have always told my children's teachers, they will say, Doc, you've not picked your children's reports. And I don't rush in going to pick my children's report, because what I'm interested in is not your so-called first, second, 90% or no. I'm interested in what you write under. The behavior pattern of my child. If I failed there, I have failed. Because I know once I get that one right, forget about the figures. They will be responsible adults in their own rights.
Hey, Doc. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion so far. The second thing after self-care is support.
Yes.
What do you mean by support, and how does it affect our ability to manage our mental health?
All right. So by support, we all need relevant others. And that is all I mean. So we need to appreciate people. If you look at one Harvard research that was done for over 70 years, it's a longitudinal study, meaning a study that was done across
for a long period
of time. And the conclusion was we need people, relationships, to be able to stay happier as we age. So please, I don't know who this building is for. The person may be rich. I don't know who this business is for. The person may be okay financially, but how much money you have does not breed support or impact on your overall mental health. So what we are trying to say is that we need people, we need quality relationship. We should be able to connect with relevant others. And there are several ways we can have this particular connection. And I think overall in Africa, we are not doing bad. But the challenge in Africa as far as support and relationship is concerned is the quality. It looks as if over time, because of the pressing demands, especially those in urban centers, the quality of our support and relationship is diminishing. So at the church, it is an avenue for quality relationship and support. At home, where we live, the neighborhood. Unfortunately, elsewhere in other more advanced countries, someone can die in his or her apartment for years and no one will ever know. And are we getting there? I had a friend who visited me in Ghana, and driving through East Legon to my house, he said, Collins, it looks as if Ghana, you have a lot of prisons. What are the prisons he's talking about? The walls are so tall with barbed wires, electric fencing, And you see the sign is security, and he thought these are prisons.
Oh, okay.
So it looks as if, even though in Africa we try as far as support for one another, building quality relationship is concerned, gradually is diminishing simply because of our more or less inclination to adopt the Eurocentric lifestyle. So by support, we must be there for one another. Go back in the olden days. If there is a funeral, the Ebusiapenyi, the family head, will call all the families. This and this and this has happened. What do we do? They share ideas, they all come, they all contribute, and they support.
Yeah.
If there is a debt on a member of the family, the Ebusiapenyi will lead. So in my class, when I'm teaching management of principles of management or management at the university, either at the undergraduate level or graduate level, I use practical examples such as this. This is the form of leadership management that we have within our own context. Knowledge brewed from an African context. And the Busiapenyi embodies that level of let's support one another when there is a crisis. This is what we have been used to. And this is something gradually we are losing it. And I tell you, the fact that we have almost 90% treatment gap as far as mental health support is concerned, what it means is that if we begin to lose our touch on our African way of doing things, then we are in a dire future as a country, because we are losing our grip of the kind of social network, the safety net we have. At the same time as we embrace Eurocentric thinking, Eurocentric building, Eurocentric ideologies, we also don't have the hospital support systems. Then our mental health situation become worse. We don't have the support because we have 90% treatment gap. Where do we go? And that is where support is very important. So if you go through any challenging situation, please do not adopt the macho culture, especially men. Men have emotions. We also go through challenges. And often, as men, we shoulder the macho culture of their men. So who told you? Please express your emotions. Talk about how you feel to that person you trust, or go to a professional and get that help. Do not suppress it, because if you keep suppressing it, the moment you open it, what do you hear? Best forth.
Yeah, it works.
And
good.
so we need to actually reach out for that particular help that we need. Let's get to those who matter, and then we can get the support from those who can help us reduce the levels of what stresses and mental health challenges that we are facing. So I tell all HR managers, all managers of organizations, please, it is not wrong to demand the target from the employees, but also make sure you complement it by giving them the requisite support. And I want to say it on record. I have researched into media personnel and your mental health. And sadly, it is not the best. So I suggest to Z Media, I want you to set the pace by your leadership having a policy, not just medical insurance, but health insurance that also gives support as far as mental health care, psychosocial health care is concerned. Because truth be told, your job description opens you up to many traumatic experiences. You go out there, first in news suggests that you'll be the first to witness it. You'll be the first to feel. You'll be the first to begin to reflect on this situation. And we are humans. We all need help.
Mr. Kweku Yankson, you had a good doctor. My mental health is very important. Let's move from the men. Now let's go to the women. Two very important things I want us to talk about in one breath. Maternal health and the effect it has on mental health, that's one. And then the issue of postpartum depression.
All right, so I mentioned stress as one of the most common mental health challenges. And it's obvious because day to day we are moving left and right just for survival and what have you. The next common one you can talk about is depression. The third one is anxiety. So these three. So stress, depression, anxiety. Now, depression is very common simply because of a number of issues. If you look at the number line that I use, if majority of the people go through this traumatic experience, life-changing event, or something happens to them and they are not able to come back, recover quickly 2.0, then they are on course to depression most of the time. Now, by depression, a number of signs that we need to be alert for. I only use 2 or 3 practical scenarios so that whoever is listening to us this morning, you can also be a help. When I mention support, what it means is that even if you are an onlooker, you are an avenue for support to ensure that someone improve his or her mental health.
When you see something,
exactly,
say something.
Say something. And in the case of see something, say something, we have a way of doing it. And that is something that is also very important. So by depression, people now feel extremely sad. And the sadness is consistent over a prolonged period of time. It must be diagnosed by a practicing mental health professional. It could be a clinical psychologist. It could be a psychiatrist. It could be perhaps someone, a psychiatric nurse who is trained to even do that. Now, by depression, a number of signs can let you know that I am getting there. This person was bubbly. He comes to work. He's all over. Everybody, you know the practice steps of this person. All of a sudden, the person is withdrawing. Please, whoever is listening to us, if you know someone and you realize that this person is changing, this is not who he has been, please, the simplest thing we can do is everything okay? Can we talk? And begin to engage the person to find out how things are. It is the first sign all of us can notice. Even if you are not trained, do you see a difference between who this person was and the person I am seeing or I'm observing? Withdrawal symptoms. They want to be by themselves. They talk less now, and that is not who they were. It's inconsistent with that person we knew. Please, this person may be going through some challenges that potentially could be perhaps onset of depression. Now, aside this, there are some people who exhibit some sayings that suggest that perhaps they are on course. And that is why depression is seen as one of the leading causes of suicide. And that is another matter altogether, where almost every 40 seconds we have one person dying by suicide globally. And that is not a joke. And those who have depression are known to also, if they are unable to seek the help for treatment, as we are talking about, potentially could also lose their life through suicide. Now, if you are there and you hear someone singing particular songs, please let us take it to heart, reflect on it, and begin to render help. There are some people you often hear consistently for a period of time. The song you hear, Mete Mau Mau, and then you keep hearing this. The songs the person have been singing or playing in his car for a moment have changed its tone. Please, it's a wake-up call that we need to look at. In children of our days, especially younger adults and adolescents, what they put on their phone, so-called status, so-called Facebook wall, or social media wall, you can content analyze it over a period of time and realize this person is going through challenges. It could be even the emojis that they use. Some consistent emojis they use suggest that something is happening. That is about just generic aspects of depression. And obviously we have different forms of depression, bipolar and all that. But you mentioned about postpartum depression, about maternal mental health. Now, mothers go through a lot. I always explain the roles of mothers with about at least 4 or 5 balls. And they throw all of them in the air, making sure at every point in time one is in their palms. We salute all mothers who work so hard. And they deserve extraordinary support from children, from husbands, for those who are married, from family members as much as we can. Now, postpartum depression. 6 out of 10 women who give birth globally go through postpartum depression. So if I'm a young man, I got married to Aso. Now Aso gives birth, and I keep screaming and shouting on Aso after a few days or weeks of birth. Aso, when Aso gave birth, now she's changed. She's not the woman I got married, and I don't understand. And harshly, that is my response to the changes I'm seeing. Please, let us check again. It could be possibly this woman experiencing postpartum depression, because the record says that 6 out of 10 globally develop postpartum depression. Some mothers, after giving birth, even feel like throwing their children away. And we have had a number of cases such as this. And this is an area I think we need to pay attention to.
Doc, you need to make a promise. I mean, clear your calendar for next week, because the conversation just started getting interesting. I would wish that we continue this. It's just a few minutes to the hour of 10. After the 10 o'clock news, NY the brand is coming up with the brighter side. Doc, before you leave, the mental health care system in Ghana, in one sentence, what are the developments or improvements you would like to see?
I must say we have come far. Mental Health Authority, Ghana Psychological Association, Ghana Psychiatric Association, all the NGOs, we have come far. But there is still room for improvement.
Thank you very much. There's still room for improvement. This has been Health and Wellness Tuesday. We've had Dr. Collins Bidwajiman, who is the president of the Ghana Psychological Association. We're talking about mental health. We never even scratched the surface. I can tell you there's so much more we need to talk about. And so next week we'll try and get Doc back into the studio, because these are very, very important things we need to talk about. But if there's one lesson I'm picking from there, it was something he said about support, and I love that. For me, yes, you know the way we end it always. Pray like it only depends on God, but work like it only depends on you. But for today, let's end with what Doc has said about support. We need love, people. We need love. We need love. Let's take it away. Chris Stromlin, we need love.